Hello, everybody. Good evening for the second show. Thursday evening. Ugh, where's everybody at?
The Al Capone dream.
Okay, well, I'm going to wait a little bit here. Well, where's everybody at tonight? Hmm. So USA hockey men's are going to win 5-1. So got another period left. Hey, Carol. Okay, thanks for checking in. I don't know why the chat. There must be something wrong with chat. I can't believe nobody's in right now. Okay, sounds good, Carol. Thanks. Tim. I guess not many people are going to be in chat tonight or a late crowd. Normally we have more than got 7, 8 showing. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I want to get a lot of stuff out. Hopefully we'll get everybody in. Can anybody see this? We won an award.
It's great to bring it back. You were treated very badly, and now you're treated really well. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much. Appreciate it. We don't use auto pens. There's no auto pen. Okay, come on up. That's great.
Down,
Okay. Here you go, fellas. There you go. I'll get up. Okay, come on. You guys okay?
Yeah,
Speaker?
Okay. That was a good report on that. We got 6 minutes on the next one.
Government today to pay their taxes. Over 100,000 federal workers are not paying their taxes. In 2021, the IRS found that almost 150,000 federal workers owe about $1.5 billion in unpaid taxes. Over 5,000 of them work at the IRS and owe $50 million in overdue taxes. Even though the IRS can fire its workers that are not paying their taxes, only 20 people have been terminated. That double standard is something Senator Joni Ernst, Senate Doge Caucus chair, wants to stop. She's introducing several bills aimed at cleaning up the IRS. One bill would require IRS employees to be audited every year and fired if they don't pay their taxes. But while the IRS is not catching the tax cheats on their own payroll, they are busy arming their workforce. Ernst is also calling out 10 million taxpayer dollars the IRS has spent on guns and ammo, stockpiling 4,500 guns, 5 million rounds of ammo, even 15 machine guns.
So over 800 plus employees of the IRS owe millions of dollars in taxes, over 10% of their workforce, and only 20 employees have been fired because of it. Dude, these are the same exact individuals that audit family, garnish wages, penalizing small businesses, and just going after anybody and everybody, putting liens on them because they're not paying their taxes. Like the tax enforcers don't even follow the law. What does that say about the whole entire system itself? Look, a little history lesson for everyone. The IRS is not even mentioned in our Constitution. It was created back in 1913, the same time that the Federal Reserve was created. And the Federal Reserve is not federal, nor does it have any reserves. It was originally supposed to be temporary and targeted for the wealthy. The
Lucy will
income
be able
taxes
to
back
make it in
then
tonight,
were sold
Carol.
as a small percentage. It was a patriotic duty to pay, and it was a necessity in case of emergencies. It was never designed to look like forever. But 113 years later, what was designed to be temporary seems like forever now. And that was the turning point 113 years ago when they created the Federal Reserve System. It was sold to the public as stability, elastic currency, and crisis prevention. And as crazy as it seems, it comes out to be that they are the ones that created those crises. Then over time, the reality started sinking in that it's just a private banking entity that creates money out of debt. And then out of that debt, we have to pay interest on that debt. So the core logic to all of it was that the feds created the money. The IRS extracts the value from the public. This way, the whole entire debt system never ends. You know, 1776 really did happen, right? George Washington and everybody that fought in the American Revolutionary War fought for no taxation without representation over 3% in taxes. Every one of them that gave up their lives back in the day would be rolling over in their graves if they heard and saw what we're doing right now, because we are paying taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes. Look, here are the different type of taxes that we pay: income tax, payroll tax, sales tax, property tax, capital gains tax, inflation tax, which is our currency debasement. Okay, then we have to pay fees, penalties, and interest. Are you serious? We are taxed on everything: earning, spending, saving, investing, and even we have to pay taxes when we're dead. You know how I just said inflation? Because inflation is also taxation without calling it taxation. Since the creation of the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve note, that currency right there has lost over 95% of its purchasing power. So we're working harder, but we're saving less. And our wages are trying to catch up to inflation. And we got to work multiple jobs just to make ends meet. So going back to these IRS agents, they can go years in delinquency on their taxes and be rarely disciplined and still be collecting taxes from its citizens. Meanwhile, small mistakes made by citizens are penalized. And if we pay late, we get threatened. The system seems very strict with the public, but soft on itself, right? And as the public is starting to lose more and more trust and starting to ask more and more questions because these Epstein documents are coming out, and the more documents that are being revealed with names and connecting faces to everything, the public starts asking questions, y'all. Like, where did the taxpayers' money really go? Who was really protected? Who would never audit it? Like, so many people, including myself, cannot wait until they pull back the curtain and reveal who really Oz is. Like, low key, the ones that have been going down these rabbit holes, we kind of figure who it is and who they really are, but we need the public to really know. Like, ask yourself, if they don't respect the system, why should the public trust it? People are overworked, overtaxed, and underrepresented. The trust in these institutions and entities are collapsing right before our very eyes. The old system depends on obedience, and the new system depends on awareness. This has never been left versus right. It's always been top versus bottom. And this is why it's so important to know what you hold. Let's go.
Okay, and let's go to the old guy. I'm playing the short ones for a bit. Let's play Nick. He has a short one. About 9 minutes.
Own party. Take a
having any meaningful functional impact on ICE because they have unlimited money effectively for right now, right?
Yes, sir.
So he's pointing out the fact that this DHS funding bill doesn't have any material impact on ICE because they're already funded by the one big beautiful bill, which put like $75 billion towards ICE. So they're already funded. This shutdown doesn't do anything to ICE. It only impacts the other agencies which fall under DHS.
So you're going to punish all of these other parts, the very important parts of our government, TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, and cybersecurity. That's what kind of a statement if we announce to our enemies, like, well, our cybersecurity agency, now we're going to be shut down. If I really want to make a move, that probably makes it better. And then, so is that a accurate statement?
It's a fair assessment, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, not only is he breaking with his party to fund DHS, he's also defending Kristi Noem, who the Democrats want to be impeached and thrown in prison in New York. They're holding up picket signs saying that she should be hung in the streets and lynched. Take a look.
I met with Secretary Noem, and I've always treated her with respect. I met with her in my office, and I refuse, and I never will engage on the kinds of sexist kinds of terms like ICE Barbie from a lot of the left media will use those kind of things. And now I said, hey, I'm a Democrat, and I say, secure our border? Yeah. And deport all of the criminals? Yeah. You know, I think we can sign up on that.
So Fetterman is not just voting against the Democrats. He's calling out just how stupid this is. I mean, they're shutting the government down over ICE, but ICE is already funded. So the only thing you're really doing is you're affecting air travel, cybersecurity, and FEMA. If there was a natural disaster to occur during a shutdown when FEMA is not funded, you are putting lives at risk. And why are you putting lives at risk? Over the Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis and the shooting of Alex Preddy and all that. Well, guess what? Today happens to be the day that the Trump administration and Tom Homan announced that Operation Metro Surge is over.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude.
Wow.
So yeah, that whole thing that you're fighting over, it's over. Like this whole thing started after the shooting of Alex Preddy during Operation Metro Surge. And before that, this very bill that they're refusing to vote for is a bill that they negotiated with the Republicans and agreed on. They were both on the same page. They were all going to vote for this until Operation Metro Surge resulted in the shooting of Alex Preddy. But
no, not yet.
That's over. We are pulling the troops out of Minnesota. So let's break this down. You are threatening not to fund something that's already funded because you want an end to an operation which is already over. You're trying to solve a problem which doesn't exist with zero leverage. So this is absolutely stupid. And do you think it's a coincidence that today happened to be the day that Tom Homan, the border czar, announced that Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis is over? Of course not. Tom Homan reports directly to Trump, and Trump knew that today's the day they were going to refuse to advance the DHS funding bill. So this is why I want you guys to understand that Trump does know what he's doing, because right now the Democrats are absolutely self-sabotaging and inflicting damage on themselves. And this is going to backfire badly. Now, here's where things get interesting because, and I've said this before, this shutdown could be the best thing that ever happened to us, because if you want to open the government back up, all you got to do is use the nuclear option, nuke the filibuster. We can get it open and we can get the government funded with a simple majority if you nuke the filibuster. And John Thune, up until this point, has refused to do that. He's refused to do it over the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, the voter ID election integrity bill that the Senate is stalling over the filibuster.
Right now.
But now that we're in this situation once again, and the Democrats are trying to completely sabotage ICE operations and any chance of mass deportations, because one of their demands is they want the ICE officers to have to get a warrant signed in order to apprehend an illegal alien that they have probable cause to deport. Instead of just being able to deport somebody when you have probable cause, now you got to go to a judge and get a warrant from an activist left-wing judge to execute a deportation. That would effectively end any chance that Trump has of mass deportations, especially in these blue states with activist left-wing judges on the benches that would refuse to sign those warrants. So here's the option that I suggest. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, grow some balls, get the votes, nuke the filibuster, fund the government, end this nonsense, and also pass the SAVE Act and secure elections before the midterms so that Republicans remain in power and we can continue to roll out the Trump MAGA agenda without the Democrats shutting down the government every other month. Because listen, these demands and these reforms that the Democrats are trying to push through to so-called reform ICE, it includes making it so that ICE cannot arrest illegals outside of polling places. They want to make polling places, polling locations, sanctuary locations. Look
at one of the specific demands that the Democrats have come up with, and it's a new demand. Haven't seen this one before, because they want to ban immigration enforcement from their so-called sensitive locations. The so-called sensitive location defined by the Democrats, which in the past have included places of worship, hospitals, schools. Now they want to include in that list polling places. Well, let's think about that. It's an entirely new provision. Polling places have never been included on any list like this before, and Democrats are now including them because they want to turn America into a sanctuary country and polling places into a sanctuary location.
So let's think about this. While we're trying to deport all the illegals and we are trying to make it so you have to prove your citizenship when you register to vote, the Democrats, on the other hand, they want to make it so that not only do you not have to prove your citizenship when you go to vote, but also that ICE can't touch you around a polling place to make sure that nobody's going to interfere with you when you vote as an illegal alien. So what do you guys think? Is it time to stop playing these games? Do you think John Thune should grow some balls and nuke the filibuster and not only open the government, but pass the SAVE Act and secure American elections? Let me know down in the comments section.
Okay, that was the first Nick video. Got a few more short ones.
Because I got a theory of brewing. All right, so y'all know on February 26th and 27th, Bill and Hillary Clinton are scheduled to testify in front of Congress about the whole Epstein files, right? And then today, Representative Luna and other lawmakers are pushing back against Ghislaine Maxwell's preferential treatment in prison. Stay with me. They're saying no more perks, no more comfort, no more special handling. Now, here's where my antenna goes up. Because you know, every time accountability starts lining up, people are getting close to testifying, something always happens. Not justice, nay, complications. People suddenly pass away. Like I said, this is just a theory. This is not a prediction. This is not a threat. Just an observation, because every time that spotlight gets too close, the system finds a way to move those pieces off the board, so to speak. And before anybody says that could never happen, remember who we're talking about, okay? Remember the money. Remember the intelligence ties. Remember how you guys thought all of this was just a conspiracy theory? Now it's the truth. Remember how you thought a certain person was unalived in prison? And then come to find out he's in Tel Aviv? Look, honey child, I've been watching this stuff for far too long to still believe that coincidence still exists at this point and at this level in the game. I am willing to bet money on this one. Oh, because I need you to stay with me.
All right, our good TikTok lady. I got 3 clips of the Minnesota lady. I can't remember if we played these or not.
Was talking about Epstein, and for some reason, it makes all the Trump supporters think I'm a liberal. I don't know where that come from, but whatever.
Hey, Paul.
I have been down this rabbit hole for probably 6 years or
Lucy
more.
can't make it tonight.
I was first
Dave's rushed
introduced to
again.
this trafficking network by Isaac Cappy many years ago, and I've been following it. I don't know why the Republicans have it in for Thomas Massey and why you think he's such a bad guy. But guys, everybody needs to wake up. There is a bunch of awful, terrible shit that's happened to these children. And all you can do is spout Donald Trump? What is wrong with you? Why do you not care about these children? Why is just because somebody wants to see the Epstein files released and see all these people brought to justice, why does that mean you're attacking Donald Trump? I don't get it. This is not about Donald Trump. It's not about the Clintons. It is about finding justice for these victims. They need justice. And if you've not looked into the Epstein files, if you've bought into all this horse shit, that it's just a big nothing burger, you need to wake the hell up. Look at it. See what's in there. Start researching on your own. And then come back and talk to me about it. This is not a political thing at all.
She's right.
This is all about getting justice for the victims. And I don't care who the perpetrators are. And I don't think he is one, but if Donald Trump is a perpetrator, his ass needs to go to prison just like everybody else. And I voted for the man 3 times. Now, like I said, I don't think he's one of them. But something is going on that's making him want to keep this quiet. I don't know what it is. I think he's been compromised. I think maybe he's being blackmailed or something. But y'all, wake up. Look into it. Look at what's really going on here. Would you want your child kidnapped and assaulted and then consumed? Is that what you want? Would you be happy with that? Or would you want to see justice?
Okay, that's the first one. I got 2 more.
Committee hearing with Pam Bondi. It's supposed to be about the Epstein files, or that's what I assumed today. Have you been following it all? Oh my gosh, y'all. Pam Bondi is coming across as an angry, mean bitch. She's refusing to answer any questions regarding Epstein. She's protecting the people in Trump's staff that have ties to Epstein. And anytime anybody brings it up, she shows her ass. And she can't believe that they even want to ask her questions about it. I mean, I, for one, want answers. I'm not ready to drop this and let this go. I don't care who the heck tells me it needs to be dropped. No, it doesn't. The files were just released. We're just now learning all kinds of crazy nonsense. Things I had heard in the past, but I had no way to prove. But it seems like everything I heard 6 years ago really is true. And they don't want to touch it. They don't want to talk about it. They want to sweep it under the rug. And here's the other thing. The Democrats will ask this really long question that takes up all their time, and they don't allow Bondi to answer the question. And then the Republicans come up and they ask questions on a completely different subject. So we're getting screwed by both parties. Neither party really wants the answer. They just want to make it look good. But if you've been
Hey,
watching,
Gloria.
what's your take
Hey.
on it? Am I way off on this?
Now you made it.
Leave me a note in the comments and tell me what you think.
Hey, that's number 2. I got one more.
The media's just obsession with her. Kind of strange. I mean, she's not any big name personality. I mean, hell, her daughter isn't even a huge name. Why is this such big news? Why is it
You made
wall
it.
to wall coverage? I kept thinking, there is something, they are using this story to get our eyes off something.
Yep.
Well, I went back and I looked at the timing of things. The Epstein files, they dropped January 30th. Nancy Guthrie went missing February 1st. The timing is pretty interesting, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Could there be a correlation there? Anybody else find?
That was 3 good ones from her. So Paul, News Sports got the silver guy or the or Chinese guy, whatever. His video just came out and News Sports had it, so I'm gonna play it. It's 15 minutes. Let me know if you want me to stop it or continue. Brian Eagles in, not in yet.
An intraday drop that happened fast and violent. It's currently 30 p.m. Eastern Time on February 12th. Silver is sitting at $76.98, and in exactly 12 hours at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, the January CPI report releases. This is not a coincidence. This is not random volatility. And what they're not telling you is that while paper silver just got hammered, the structural crisis building toward March 27th didn't change at all. Let me explain what just happened, why it happened, and what it actually means. Before we break this down, if you want unfiltered analysis when markets are moving this fast, hit subscribe and comment OG John AG. Most people watching right now aren't subscribed. This channel doesn't sell signals. It doesn't pitch funds. It shows you what's actually happening when everyone else is either panicking or celebrating without understanding the mechanics. Let's get into it. The crash. What happened in the last few hours? Here are the facts. Earlier today, silver was consolidating in the $82 to $83 range. We had tested $85 yesterday, got rejected at resistance, and pulled back. That was expected. That was healthy consolidation. But then, between 9 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, silver fell off a cliff. Not a gradual decline, a cliff. From $83 straight down to $76 in minutes. We got a brief bounce attempt back to $78. That failed. And now we're sitting at $76.98. This is a $6 to $7 drop in hours. That's 7.6% intraday. The speed matters. The pattern matters. When silver drops $6 in hours, not days, you're not looking at normal selling. You're looking at forced liquidation. You're looking at algorithmic selling. You're looking at a margin call cascade where one liquidation triggers the next, which triggers the next. And here's the critical detail everyone needs to understand. This happened 12 hours before the CPI report. That timing is everything. This wasn't organic selling based on fundamentals. This was pre-announcement positioning. Traders and institutions de-risking before a binary data event. And when you combine that de-risking with technical breakdown and margin pressure, you get a cliff drop. That's what we just saw. The technical trigger, $81 to $82 breakdown. Let me explain the mechanics. Silver had key support at $81 to $82. We tested that level multiple times over the past few days. It was holding. It was the line in the sand after we got rejected at $85 resistance. Every technical trader, every algorithm, every risk management system knew that $81 to $82 was critical support. If it held, we'd consolidate and try $85 again. If it broke, we dropped to the next level. It broke. And when $81 broke, everything below it triggered. Stop losses
Everybody
at
okay
$80,
with this
stop
video?
losses at $79, stop losses at $78. Every level cascaded. Algorithms that were programmed to sell below $81 executed. Margin calls hit accounts that were leveraged long from $82 to $85. Those accounts got liquidated automatically. They didn't have a choice. The system forced them to sell. And each forced sale pushed the price lower, which triggered the next round of stops and margin calls. This is how crashes happen in leveraged markets. It's not that fundamentals changed. It's that technical levels broke, and the leverage unwind became self-reinforcing. One liquidation creates the next liquidation. The speed accelerates. And before you know it, you're down 7.6% in an hour. Now we're sitting at $76.98. The next major support is $72 to $73. If we break $76, that's the next target. And below $72 to $73, we're looking at $69 to $70 and potentially a retest of the February crash low at $64. The technical damage is real. The chart is bearish. And if you're trading with leverage, this move just destroyed anyone who was long from $80 to $85. The CPI setup, why this happened now. But here's what they're not telling you. This crash happened 12 hours before CPI. That's not random. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the January Consumer Price Index. This is the first inflation print of 2026. It's a binary event. The number comes in soft, markets rally. The number comes in hot, markets sell off. There's no in between with major data releases. When you have a binary event in 12 hours and you're sitting on leveraged positions, what do? You de-risk, you close positions, you raise cash. You don't want to be exposed to a 50-50 coin flip when you're trading with borrowed money. So what happens? Traders sell before the announcement. Institutions reduce exposure. Risk managers force position cuts. And all that selling concentrates into the hours leading up to the event. That's what we just witnessed. This wasn't a fundamental breakdown. This wasn't new information about silver supply or demand. This was pre-CPI positioning. And when that pre-CPI selling hit the $81 technical breakdown level, it triggered the algorithmic cascade I just described. The combination of timing and technical levels created the perfect storm for a fast, violent drop. Now here's the important part. CPI tomorrow will determine the short-term direction. If the number comes in soft below expectations, we could see a violent reversal. Silver spikes from $76 back to $82 to $85 or higher. Rate cuts get confirmed. Dollar weakens. The crash becomes a buying opportunity. If the number comes in hot, above expectations, we could drop further. Test $72 to $73. Maybe even retest $69 to $70. Rate cuts get delayed. Dollar strengthens. The selling continues. But, and this is critical, CPI doesn't change the structural setup for March 27th. And that's what they're not telling you. What they're not telling you. The structure didn't change. While paper silver crashed from $83 to $76 an hour, here's what didn't change. COMEX registered silver inventory is still draining at 785,000 ounces per day. That didn't stop because paper price dropped. The physical metal is still leaving the vaults at the same rate. We're still 15 days away from February 27th, which is the first notice day for March contracts. The calendar didn't change. February is still running a 98% delivery rate. That means 98 out of 100 futures contracts are demanding physical silver instead of cash settlement. The futures market is still broken. It's still functioning as a physical allocation mechanism, not a speculative market. That didn't change because of tonight's crash. January still delivered 49.4 million ounces, which is 7.27 times the 2024 level. That front-running indicator still shows sophisticated players secured their metal early because they know March is going to be stressed. That historical data didn't change. JP Morgan still issued 99% of deliveries on January 7th. One bank still controls the entire COMEX silver delivery mechanism. That monopoly still exists. That single point of failure is still the only entity providing physical silver at scale. That didn't change. March open interest still represents 429 million ounces of obligations. COMEX will still have approximately 91 million ounces of registered inventory by February 27th, if the current drainage continues. The math is still 4.1 to 1 mismatch. Even at a 25% delivery rate, they need 107 million ounces and will have 91 million. The arithmetic didn't change. Physical premiums are still at 110%. American Silver Eagles are still selling for $95 to $165 over spot. Shanghai premium is still 13.7%. Lease rates are still at 8%, which is 16 times normal. The EFP spread is still at $1.10, which is 4 times normal. Every single metric that measures physical tightness is still screaming scarcity. That didn't change. So what changed? Paper price, sentiment, technical levels, trader positions, those things changed. But the structure, the fundamentals, the countdown to March 27th, none of that changed. And that's what they're not telling you. They'll report tomorrow that silver crashed 7.6% on pre-CPI selling. They won't tell you that 785,000 ounces still drained from COMEX vaults today while that crash happened. They won't tell you that February's 98% delivery rate means the futures market is non-functional. They won't tell you that JP Morgan's 99% monopoly on deliveries is still the single point of failure facing a 4-to-1 overload in 15 days. The February pattern, this has happened before. And here's why tonight's crash, as violent as it was, doesn't change the bigger picture. We've seen this exact pattern before. 7 days ago, silver crashed from $121 to $64. That was a 47% drop in a matter of days. Biggest crash since the 1980s. Paper silver got absolutely destroyed. Margin calls, liquidations, panic, fear. Everyone calling the top of the bull market. But here's what happened during that crash. Physical premiums didn't compress, they increased. American Silver Eagle premiums went to 110% and stayed there. Shanghai premium spiked to 29%, and with the 13% VAT for physical withdrawal, the effective premium was 45.8%. Physical buyers in China were paying nearly 50% more than Western paper prices while paper was crashing. The physical market didn't follow the paper market down, it diverged. And then what happened? Silver recovered from $64 to $85 in 7 days. That's a 33% bounce. And during that entire recovery, physical premiums stayed at 110%. They didn't compress on the way down, they didn't compress on the way up. The disconnect between paper and physical became permanent. Tonight's crash from $83 to $76 is the same pattern on a smaller scale. Paper dropped 7.6% in hours. Physical premiums, they're probably increasing right now. Dealers raise premiums during volatility. Shanghai buyers are probably seeing this as a buying opportunity and the premium is probably widening. Lease rates are probably spiking as short-term physical borrowing demand increases. The physical market doesn't crash when paper crashes. It tightens. For the long-term stackers, what this means. If you're holding physical silver, if you're stacking for the long term, here's what tonight's crash means for you. It means paper price is cheaper, that's it. Your premiums probably just went up because dealers always raise premiums during volatility, but spot price dropped. Depending on the premium increase, you might have a better buying opportunity than you had 12 hours ago. Your metal didn't get margin called. It can't be liquidated by an exchange. It's sitting in your safe or your vault, and it's yours regardless of what paper silver does at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday night before CPI. The leverage flush that just destroyed over-leveraged traders has zero impact on your physical position. And here's what you know from the February crash. When paper dropped 47% from $121 to $64, physical premiums increased. When paper recovered 33% from $64 to $85, physical premiums stayed elevated. The pattern is clear. Paper volatility doesn't reflect physical reality. Paper is a casino. Physical is an asset. And every time paper crashes, it proves you made the right decision to hold the actual metal instead of a leveraged paper derivative. The fundamentals you're stacking for didn't change tonight. The fifth consecutive year of structural deficit, the 820 to 900 million ounce cumulative supply shortfall, the fact that 70% to 80% of silver comes as a byproduct of other mining and can't scale quickly, the industrial demand from solar, electric vehicles, 5G, AI data centers, China's strategic designation and export restrictions, the COMEX delivery crisis building toward March 27th. None of that changed because paper dropped from $83 to $76 in a pre-CPI margin flush. You're playing a different game than the traders who just got liquidated. Your time horizon is measured in years, not hours. Your success is measured in ounces accumulated, not leverage returns. And tonight's crash is just more evidence that you're on the right side of the trade. For the traders, the risk you're managing. If you're trading silver with leverage, tonight was brutal. The $81 to $82 breakdown triggered every stop in the book. If you were long from $82 to $85 with any leverage, you probably got liquidated. If you had stops at $80 or $79, you got stopped out at terrible prices during the cascade. If you're still holding, you're either unleveraged or you're underwater and hoping CPI saves you tomorrow. Here's what you're facing now. We're at $76.98. Support is at $76 to $78, which is where we are currently. If this holds overnight and CPI comes in soft tomorrow, you could see a violent bounce back to $82 to $85. That's the bull case. You survive the overnight, the data saves you, and you get back to break even or even profit. But if we break $76, the next support is $72 to $73. That's another 5% to 6% down from here. And if CPI comes in hot and we break $72 to $73, we're looking at $69 to $70 or even a retest of $64. That's the bear case. More pain, more liquidations, and you're either taking a massive loss or holding through more volatility, hoping for the eventual turn. The CPI number tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. is your binary event. Soft CPI, you probably survive and bounce. Hot CPI, you probably face more downside. Inline CPI, you get choppy volatility that could go either way. This is the risk of trading with leverage in volatile markets during major data releases. One wrong position, one bad timing decision, and a 7.6% move in hours wipes you out. The structure says March 27th is still the big event. The JP Morgan 99% monopoly, the 98% delivery rate, the 429 million versus 91 million mismatch, all of that is still building toward a potential crisis in 15 days. But you need to survive the next 12 hours first. And that's entirely dependent on tomorrow's CPI number. What to watch in the next 12 hours? Between now and tomorrow morning's CPI release, here's what matters. First, does silver hold $76 overnight, or do we make new lows? If we drift to $75 or $74 before CPI, that's weak hands continuing to sell. If we hold $76 to $78, that's potential stabilization before the data. Second, what's Bitcoin doing? Check if Bitcoin is also crashing tonight. If Bitcoin is dropping hard, that's risk off across all speculative assets, and silver is getting pulled down with it. If Bitcoin is holding relatively stable, then tonight's silver crash is more isolated to pre-CPI positioning in metals specifically. Third, what's gold doing? Check the gold-silver ratio. If gold is holding better than silver, the ratio is widening. That's silver-specific weakness. If gold is also getting hit, that's broad metal selling. Fourth, watch Treasury yields overnight. The 10-year yield moving toward 4.0% would be bullish for metals. Moving toward 4.2% would be bearish. The bond market often prices in CPI expectations before the actual release. Fifth, watch for any breaking news, any geopolitical developments, any financial system stress, any unexpected announcements between now and tomorrow morning could move markets independent of CPI. And then tomorrow morning, the moment of truth. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern, the CPI number hits. The first 5 minutes is usually the knee-jerk reaction. The next 30 minutes is the real reaction as algorithms process the data and traders' position. Watch the headline number. Watch the core number. Watch the month-over-month change. Consensus is 2.5% to 2.6% headline, 0.3% core month-over-month. Below that is bullish. Above that is bearish. Inline is neutral. The bottom line, paper panic, structure unchanged. Silver crashed from $83 to $76 an hour. That's 7.6% in the blink of an eye. It happened 12 hours before CPI because traders are de-risking, because $81 to $82 support broke, because margin calls forced liquidations, because algorithms cascaded through every stop-loss level. The paper market just had a panic attack. But what they're not telling you is this. While paper crashed, 785,000 ounces still drained from COMEX vaults today. While paper crashed, February still ran a 98% delivery rate. While paper crashed, JP Morgan still controls 99% of the delivery mechanism. While paper crashed, March obligations still face a 4.1-to-1 mismatch in 15 days. While paper crashed, physical premiums stayed at 110% or probably increased. The pattern from 7 days ago is repeating on a smaller scale. Paper crashes, physical tightens, traders get liquidated, stackers keep stacking, and the structural crisis toward March 27th keeps building regardless of what paper price does on any given night. CPI tomorrow determines the next move for paper. Soft CPI, we bounce. Hot CPI, we drop more. Inline CPI, we chop. But March 27th is still coming. The 15-day countdown is still ticking, and the math still doesn't work. 429 million ounces of obligations, 91 million ounces available, one bank providing 99% of deliveries, a 98% delivery rate showing the futures market is broken. That's the structure. That's what didn't change tonight. That's what they're not telling you. If this analysis helped you understand what's actually happening beneath the price action, hit subscribe and comment.
Okay, I got that from News Force. I figured anything from the News Force is always a good video. So, I played for that. Our TikTok lady came out just now. She got under a 5-minute one, I think.
I am more than likely going to step back from TikTok. This is the most communist, leftist. I don't know why us conservatives are on here. You know, if the conservatives all got off of TikTok, it would collapse. There's not that many liberals that could keep it going. So the video that I posted and told you guys about the missing family in Theodore Everything that I said in that video was the truth. In fact, the people that organized a TikTok for that family actually reached out to me and thanked me for putting that video up there. There's nothing in the video I said that's misinformation. I got a strike for telling you guys about a missing family in Theodore, Alabama. Then when I told you guys about the guy in Arizona that was illegal, that all that lady, even though I did all that, they've taken it, and for some reason I got a strike on it saying it was misinformation, but I think you can still see it. I don't know what's going on. So the minions came and they got thousands, because I blocked 1,000 people in one day. So they got over, God knows how many thousands of people to come to my videos and not block. Sorry, my dog is throwing his bone across the house. To report every video I have. I've already had every comment I've ever made has been violated community standards. These people can say what they want to say to you, and they can also talk about you the way they want to talk about you, and TikTok does nothing about it. Why are conservatives on this app? If we all got off this app, we will survive. You guys know that, right? And TikTok would collapse. Just think about it, guys. But I've made my account private right now, so hopefully that will slow down. TikTok's not fun anymore. I used to really enjoy getting on this app and talking about stuff and giving updates. It's not fun anymore because they're going to tell you that you're giving misinformation when there's nothing wrong. They're going to violate you for responding back to someone who calls you a... Now I said it. Let's see what happens. So, and you know what? That's the third time I've said that word in my life. The third time. That's the nastiest, awfulest word. But they can get on here and tell you all kind of nasty, horrific stuff, threaten you. It's fine. But let you respond back with a, oh my God, there's something wrong with you. Violated. Guys, we need to all get together and get off this app. Reach out to me on the in the inbox if you want to talk to me. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, but I'm tired of it. It's not fun anymore. Hello, friends. I just want to let you.
Oh man, that's sad to hear. I don't know. This movie's got to end. Terrible. Hopefully we can still find her somewhere on a different platform. This just came up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Christine Ohm, the
minute.
Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And I also want to thank Chief Banks for being here with me today. He's the chief of the border and has given us excellent leadership in making sure that we're making America safe again and that we're upholding our laws in this great country. I also have with me Diane, who's the director, and want to thank her for her leadership. Sydney's over here as well, has been imperative in making sure this port of entry is run safely and that we are interdicting drugs like you see in front of you here today and getting them off of our streets so that they don't poison our next generation of Americans. We do have Sheriff Ken Jones is here with us today. I want to thank him for his partnership. A key to our success at the Department of Homeland Security is making sure that we're partnering with our local law enforcement and doing our operations together to make sure that we're keeping our communities safe. We have Port Director Rosa Hernandez, who's with us. She's the leader here at Otemesa and Tecate Ports of Entry. And I want to give a warm welcome and a thanks to all of our law enforcement that are here today. Just their willingness to take an oath to secure our country, to uphold the law and make sure that it's applied fairly is an incredible, powerful testimony to their kids of this next generation that will step up and serve in their footsteps. Your leadership and the hard work of these law enforcement officers have helped President Trump deliver the most secure border in American history. And they're helping us win the fight against fentanyl and saving countless lives. In fact, we were just here touring the vault that is so important to making sure that we're interdicting these drugs and keeping them off of our streets and getting them away from cartels and dangerous criminals to make sure that we're destroying them before they destroy lives. But also right here in front of you, just in this bin in front of you, you see enough lethal doses of fentanyl that would kill 10 million Americans if it were to be allowed to come into our country, be trafficked, and poison our people. For 4 dark years under Joe Biden, we saw violent criminals, murderers, gang members, terrorists, rapists, pedophiles, and human smugglers invade this country. Drug traffickers brought dangerous narcotics into our country and poisoned our people and tore our communities apart. But the American people put President Trump back into office. They removed criminal, illegal aliens from our communities. They've stopped the cartels, and they've stopped the flow of these dangerous drugs. And what the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security have done is a testimony to President Trump's leadership and to these law enforcement officers' dedication. For 9 straight months, U.S. Border Patrol has released 0 illegal aliens into the United States. With fewer people that cross illegally, we make sure that our southern border apprehensions were much lower than during the Biden administration. In fact, 93% lower than during that administration. President Trump has cut off the flow of trafficking down at the southern border, and just of fentanyl, we've seen a decrease of 56% drop in fentanyl coming into this country. The vault that we've toured today holds 188,218 pounds of seized illicit drugs. That inventory includes over 100,000 pounds of meth, 59,000 pounds of cocaine, and 7,400 pounds of fentanyl. In other words, that vault holds more than 1.7 billion lethal doses of narcotics, of fentanyl and cocaine. All of these narcotics were interdicted by U.S. Customs and Border Protection in the San Diego area. That's 1.7 billion lives that are saved because of the work that they do. The vast majority of these drug seizures happen at the port of entry, and the majority of drug seizures along the southern border happen at this port of entry. Those drug seizures are incredible to what they do to save American lives. Now, the men and women here at Otay Mesa are heroes who work around the clock to make sure that they're keeping Americans safe. Fentanyl has killed countless Americans who still should be here with us today. In fact, I've met with many parents who've lost children to fentanyl poisoning. Americans like Greg Swan, who the first time I met him told me about his son, Drew, who died from fentanyl poisoning at the age of 24 in 2013. In fact, Greg is one of the co-founders of Fentanyl Fathers, fathers who've lost their children because of that dangerous drug that was running everywhere and running rampant throughout our country. Also, I met Rebecca Kisling, who lost both of her sons. She lost her 20-year-old son, Caleb, and 18-year-old Kyler to fentanyl poisoning on the same day in 2020. There's far too many stories of that happening. In fact, 1 in 3 Americans know someone that has died from fentanyl poisoning. That shouldn't happen in the greatest country on earth. And President Trump gets up every single day to make sure that it doesn't happen. Thanks to him and to the men and women of CBP, we're winning the fight against fentanyl. Now, President Trump has called the cartels the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, and he's right. The cartels traffic, they torture, they behead human beings, and they enrich themselves and profit off of American deaths. And that's why President Trump took action and designated them as foreign terrorist organizations on day one. Today, the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security are on the front lines of the fight against the cartels and the drugs poisoning our country. And we are winning. And while we stop threats from coming into our country, we can't forget about the ones that are already in our borders. Right now, in prisons and jails across California, ICE has lodged detainers on over 33,000 criminal illegal aliens. Instead of honoring these detainers against criminals who trafficked drugs and committed crimes across the American people, Governor Newsom and California's sanctuary policies have released over 4,500 criminal illegal aliens back onto the streets to create more victims and that will harm more Americans. We need him to work with us and these local law enforcement and community leaders and elected officials here in California to protect Americans, to make sure that we're interdicting more of these drugs before they poison more Americans. And we need them to work with us to help make sure that we're keeping our law enforcement safe. Our ICE officers and CBP officers are facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them, a 3,200% increase in vehicular attacks against them, and an 8,000% increase in death threats against them. On January 23rd, an illegal alien here at the San Diego Sector Border Patrol attacked a law enforcement officer, hit him in the head with a rock, left him lacerated, bruised, and bleeding. He was hospitalized, but his assailant did escape. That attack was the 7th recorded assault on a Border Patrol agent in San Diego since October. Law enforcement officers take an oath. They pledge to protect citizens, and they work hard to uphold to the truths that our founders created this country on. In the Declaration of Independence, our founders pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor to keep people safe so that fellow Americans and our children could live in freedom, that they could live in safety. And that's the same pledge that our law enforcement officers take each and every day. They deserve our gratitude. They deserve our thanks because their job never ends. And they keep working every single day to make sure that Americans are safe, that they're protected from criminals that would not just traffic them and their children, but also traffic these drugs in to kill our next generation. I want to thank you all for being here, and I have all the confidence in the world of the law enforcement standing here today to continue to do their work.
Okay, that's Christy Nome, Secretary something. I get confused. Yeah, I got the mask guy. It's about 3:40 on the time.
They withhold the truth. They hide the scale of what is happening.
That's why I'm on, I guess.
Ireland,
right, everybody?
Germany, France, Poland, Britain, Spain, Austria, Australia, and now even Japan and Osaka. Thousands marched through the streets demanding an end to mass immigration. This is no longer a ripple. This is a wave. The world is waking up. Western nations are demanding mass deportations. Native populations are rising. Nationalism is surging across borders, and the globalists are losing their control. Do you see a pattern yet?
Hey, Kobe.
This is how you dismantle a civilization. Not with bombs, not with armies. It was something much simpler. Open the gates, erase the borders, invite the world in, give them food, housing, and money that your own citizens don't have. And then make resistance illegal. Call anyone who speaks out a racist, a bigot, a Nazi. That is how you silence a nation. That is how you erase sovereignty. This is the globalist blueprint. Dissolve the identity of nations, outnumber their citizens, and replace their governments with a single world order. They don't need tanks when they can use demographics. They don't need soldiers when they have policies. The invasion is silent, but it is real. They call it compassion, but listen to their own words. One man in Germany admitted it. We have more children than you. In 10 years, we will outnumber you. We will take over. That is not conspiracy. That is the plan. But now the tide is turning. America saw through it when Donald Trump secured the border in 2 weeks, exposing the lie that mass migration couldn't be stopped. Across Europe, millions are in the streets. The fight for sovereignty is no longer isolated. It is global. This is war, not of bombs, but of demographics. Not of bullets, but of policies. A war to erase you in your own land. But the people are fighting back, and once awakened, they will not go back to sleep. My friends, we are all anonymous, and maybe, just maybe, the sleeping giant of sovereign nations has awakened.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. We have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founder.
Okay, the latest on our mask guy. We got some update out of Arizona. About 6 minutes.
10 days before they quit tabulating. They thought they were done. And then more truckloads of ballots would come in. And I'm like, how can you not know how many ballots are still out there?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Would you repeat that?
Yeah.
They thought they were done.
They thought they were done
and then there
multiple
was
times.
there was what?
Multiple times. The people that were running the rooms thought they were done or almost done or were going to be done Wednesday morning, then Thursday morning, then Friday morning. Then it went on the whole next week. And I'm like, I asked the question, I'm like, you don't know how many ballots are still left to come in? So I don't know. I don't know who does, again, process project management.
On that,
Zero.
On that point, ma'am, I'm tracking with you, but what day did the truck show up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, because
Every
what I
day.
heard the first time, what I thought I heard is
day.
a truckload of ballots showed
Yeah.
up.
Okay, just a minute. I want to make sure that we capture this properly. So there were trucks that showed up on the 3rd, and then the 4th, and then the 5th. And how long did that go on? How many days?
I wasn't there the whole last week, but I know
For as
they were
long as
still-
you can recall.
Yeah,
How
they were
many days?
My last day was the 10th, and they were still coming in. And they're
Trucks.
coming from a company called Runback that does the high-speed scanning and printing of duplications and I think the military ballots. So now I'm getting out of my comfort level here talking about this. I don't know what they're doing, but those ballots were coming in from a high-speed scanning company called Runback that apparently you haven't heard of Runback?
No, I've heard of Runback,
Okay.
ma'am. What I'm trying to figure out is whether they printed them or they scanned them, and if they scanned them off-site, to what purpose?
I can't tell you
Because wasn't that your job to scan them? Well, I beg, not your job, but
Yeah.
the-
No, all the high-speed scanning happens at Runback. So those ballots go to Runback. As far as I know, there were no observers there. I don't know. I never got called to work at Runback. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, with all due respect, Mr. Cook, now we've opened up a whole new can of worms.
Yeah, and again,
So
I don't know
this-
enough about it to be the witness.
No,
on it.
that's
So, yeah.
fine. Your observation is useful here. So what you're telling me, I'm going to play this back to you a second. The scanning wasn't actually done on site at a Maricopa County structure. It was done someplace else.
Where they have very high-speed scanners, yeah. And-
Well,
yeah.
right now, I really don't care what the speed is.
Yeah.
I want to know, were they Dominion scanners? Or they
No,
were?
no, I don't think it has anything to do with Dominion.
So I'm trying to understand, what was the purpose of scanning them in advance of them being tabulated on the Dominion equipment?
They were duplications, the ballots that wouldn't read through the tabulation machines. They were ballots that came in from military and overseas. But there were more ballots than that. So I don't know where the rest of them were coming from because they kept bringing trays of them in. So I don't know where they were coming from. That's a question for the county employees to explain to you where those ballots came from that whole next week. I don't know where they came from.
Mr. Cook, are you done?
Left.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cook.
Just like that.
Mr. Giuliani.
So you were there from the 3rd until the 10th.
Yes.
Okay, so 7 days later, ballots were still coming in. And were those ballots counted?
Yeah, I watched them go
Did
through.
you observe them being
I watched
counted?
them go through the tabulation machines and I watched people working on the adjudication of those.
And how many ballots
Oh, I don't know.
what was the largest number you saw in any one
Oh,
day?
man.
No, just a guess. How many cartons?
Okay, there was, and I wasn't there, there was usually 2 or 3 shifts. So I want to say one day they thought 90,000 was a good number.
So
for a
one day
shift.
was.
For a shift, and if they were running multiple shifts.
And which day was that? One of
Oh,
the
I
middle days, one of the end days?
It was in the middle, probably.
Somewhere in the middle between the 3rd and the 10th.
Yeah.
90,000.
Yeah.
And then other days it was approximately the same, or?
Some were less, some were more. So some days when they had the 3 shifts, well, they never had 3 tabulating. Sorry, they just would run.
Sure, no, that's
long-
okay. You're
They
doing
would
the
run
best
a
you can.
long tabulation shift.
What was
so-
the lowest number, you think?
There were some days when maybe there was only 15,000. Boy, please
15.
do not hold me to these numbers because
Was that toward the end,
No, that would have been earlier.
to the beginning?
Yeah,
In other words, there were more ballots at the end than the beginning?
there were ballots. They were backing up, was what I would say. They're
And what about-
not more coming into the building necessarily, but there's a room that we could see with rows and rows of bins of
These were
ballots.
coming in a different way?
Yes, I don't know.
They're
Some
coming
come
in the
from
back door.
Some come from the mailbox or from the postal service. They all go through a couple of, they get the signature verified, then they get separated from the envelope, and then they end up somehow in the room that I was
So
in.
if I understand this correctly, ballots were coming in 2 different ways?
At least, yeah. From the post
Front door,
office.
back door?
Well, I think they were all the back door.
Oh, they were all the back door?
All the back door.
Okay.
None came in the front door.
But this group was 15,000 for a low, 90,000 for a high. And then on those last couple of days when you were there, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th, how many?
It was pretty average. They were still running full-time.
Like 90,000?
long shifts. Yeah, probably 80 to 70 to 80 maybe.
Wow. Anybody explain them?
Explain.
Anybody explain what they were?
I did not ask every time. I asked a few times, so I understand some of them, but
Okay.
Senator
Thank you.
Allen,
Okay. That's the latest out of Arizona. We got Trish, I believe it's 9 minutes.
Wonderful to see you.
Good to see you again, Trish. Happy Valentine's Day and everything else.
Thank you. Thank you. And the same to you. I've been covering this Ilhan Omar story and I'm looking at these numbers and none of it makes sense. I mean, if you go to his website, for example, he says, this is the hubby. He said he's running a venture capital firm. They're operating in 80 different countries. He's got $60 billion assets under management. I'm like, 60 billion. I mean, buddy, and you're not even registered with the SEC. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But I'd like you to weigh in on just what you've seen in terms of his company. No SEC registrations, $403,000 in back taxes, it appears, in the state of Delaware, a winery that sort of isn't. What's your initial impression?
Well, with him, if he offers you a bridge, don't buy it. And what we have here is a classic case of
There he is.
connecting to government.
Yep.
And using that as a means to get money. And one of the favorite forms is you set up a consulting firm. Nice thing about that is they really can't measure the product. You can just turn out a lot of paper and they get a lot of money from the government for all of this great advice that means absolutely nothing. It's just it's money laundering, scam, whatever you want to call it.
Appointment with
And that's how we got the Leering Center in Minnesota, where they can't even spell the thing right. No kids are there. So there's no there except a lot of wasted and stolen taxpayer money. And it's amazing how it's quite something when you mix Marxism with joining the government, how these people, these socialists, suddenly become brilliant investors, brilliant entrepreneurs. Who knew that Marx had that in him? And but we all know what it is. And the other thing I've discussed with Lizzie the other day is that these people, even though they portray themselves as tribunes of the people, champions of the underdog and all that sort of thing, they love to live the high life at your expense.
It certainly seems that way. I want to go back to the VC firm and the winery in a second, but when I look even just at his salary, for example, I mean, she paid him somewhere in the vicinity of 850 grand over the 2-year period before they got married. And then what do you know? I mean, it was a bonanza once they got married. The guy's making nearly $3 million as her campaign manager. Steve, who makes $3 million? I mean, everybody was all up in arms because Biden's guy was going to get a sweetener if he won. Although, frankly, I think, I might have demanded that too, given that was a pretty tall hurdle. $3 million, nearly $3 million to run a campaign, a congressional campaign.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing you should have investigations. And even if they can skirt the law, publicity is the best way to cure these things. Keep asking them, how do you get that kind of money? And even if they get reelected, their influence is reduced in the sense that people know they are scammers, that they are feasting off the taxpayer. So as they say, sunshine's a great disinfectant. In this case, publicity and uncovering this stuff is a great disinfectant, like that intrepid reporter in Minneapolis going to actually one of these places and finding out they can't even spell and who's there. And if you find somebody, they try to chase you away. And then you have the leader of the Democrats in the House saying, oh, this is just racism and blah, blah, blah. People see it for what it is, and that's what you have to do: exposure. And in this day of media, social media, online, what you're doing, you have many avenues. And so even if the traditional media press, even if legacy media refuses to cover it, by golly, you've got many out there who will be very happy to cover it.
We've actually been all over the story.
This stuff.
Nick Shirley, you mentioned him. He went out there. Gosh, I'm looking at him saying, CBS is trying to reinvent itself. Maybe just make him all of 60 Minutes. I mean, this reminds me, of Mike Wallace back in the day when he'd like take a camera, right, and like chase somebody down in the streets. And that's effectively what Nick was doing. He was just putting, 1 + 1 together and getting 2. Does this match with this? And it seems like basic reporting, but you don't have the legacy media doing enough of that because everybody's scared, right? I mean, the Democrat Party is controlling everything. And the minute you say, gee, this doesn't seem right, where do they go? I mean, just look at what Ilhan Omar keeps saying over and over and over again. Ilhan tells us this is racism, that they're just trying to say she can't have the American dream.
There's always this sort of sad reference to the fact that I'm a refugee. It seems like these people seem to have a problem with the fact that I am living the American dream. Yes, I was once a refugee. Yes, I did survive war. Yes, I did come to the United States when I was 12 years old, not speaking English, but I did make it to the United States of Congress.
Well, she's having the American dream, but the wrong kind of dream, the Al Capone dream. And people see through it. When you uncover the evidence, as you mentioned, Nick Shirley did, guess what? Then you see their excuses, their spin, whereas before they could just say that and you had nothing to counter it with. He and others are providing the counter stuff, the actual evidence, the visual evidence, leering, and it's not a porn site. And you get to see what it truly is, and that's the glory of online. You can just put this out there, and by golly, their excuses look what they are: just a sham, lame, trying to deflect attention, and it doesn't work if you keep hitting them at it. But it takes a little scut work. There's so much gold out there.
So this is a big jump. We're saying, okay, and I think if I understand you right, the way you're phrasing this as being a consulting company, it's certainly not a venture capital firm. I mean, I looked at the website. I'm like, this is a political consulting firm. I don't know who he's trying to dupe here, calling it a VC. But I guess, VC, he's taking a portion of your business, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if this is a money laundering shop, or if this is a, consulting pay-to-play shop, how would that work? If I want a daycare center and I'm part of this Somali, clique there in Minneapolis, and I want to live high on the hog off the American taxpayer, what do? Go see Ilhan's husband and he sets me up, and the next thing you know, she's got me, they were trying to get, it was recently as 21 days ago, they were trying to get another $1 million for a Somali restaurant owner who claimed he had a mental health clinic right above his kitchen in the restaurant. And it was fortunate that some members of the GOP shut that one down. But I'm like, wow, even in the light of everything going on, they're still trying to get some money. And I'm just wondering how you think it may have worked.
Well, it worked because no one was looking. And the reason they didn't want to look is because there was a source of campaign funding, a source of campaign support, and especially on the Democrat side, the fear of primaries. That if you call this thing out, you're going to get primaried. You might win the primary, but by golly, you're going to go through hell to win and win the general election. So it's fear of getting challenged that has people looking away. That if you challenge these things, obviously you're against immigrants, you're against this, you're against that. And it was very intimidating. It was like in the 50s, call you a communist. Oh, no, I don't want to be called that. So you can set up anything. And you usually go to these people because you want something, like a learning center or a daycare center above a restaurant or whatever, and they sign off on it. Remember, the candidate for governor of Georgia, she was going to get $2 billion before the EPA under Lee Zeldin said, not going to happen. And so, and one of the big, I think Elon Musk realizes this in terms of Doge. It was a mistake to use that image of him with the chainsaw. That looked like he was just cutting things and taking things away from people. But as we see, the real scandal was that these programs were not going for their stated purpose. And that's why Governor Walz is suddenly going to be dusting off his resume to look for new opportunities next year. You know, maybe he can set up a daycare center for his fellow politicians.
Maybe. I don't think I'd want him taking care of my kids, though.
Yeah, that was a good interview by Trish. So the next 21 is going to be Cash, because he has the clip from the puppet show with Pam Bondi. So he'll have a good one to share tonight.
I know when we're safer, and even more time when we shine at the paper. Still I got the flavor, Jamaica.
Gardner White is the absolute best place to buy Tempur-Pedic. We have more Tempur-Pedic beds in stock than anyone else. Your perfect fit is ready for as low as $17 a month with no interest. Plus, get a $300 free gift and free same-day delivery. Save up to $500 at Gardner White.
The Epstein hearings just backfired and exposed a whole bunch of people, but not in the way you might think.
Answer the question the way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many of you indicted?
Again,
watch this.
I'm claiming my time.
To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, or sorry, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known.
You'll break it down.
And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, all right? Co-conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it.
Okay, pay attention.
He's listed as a co-conspirator. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have.
He's saying all of this is proof of something.
Release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website.
It does look messy.
We will never see.
But there's something happening here.
Because we can't search
and wait
the
till you see what it is.
So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time. Mr. Chairman.
This is what you need to know about this whole thing. If you think this is a massive conspiracy to protect powerful people, here's your evidence. This senator has it right here. But on the other hand, if you think this is a massive conspiracy to try and tie the president to something that's been going on for decades, This is also proof of that, because the thing he's mad about is a guy being redacted who was already in the files unredacted over 40,000 other times. This is like we're splitting hairs here.
Can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from.
All right, they don't want the answer.
Can I give my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill.
They don't want the answer.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
It looks like a show.
Attorney General respond.
A
and then the gentleman
circus.
can move to the next question. It's my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator. Okay.
and we invited
what?
you
Switch
in.
gentlemen.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to.
A
You're a
failed
failed
politician.
politician. You need to
I
get
want
on
you to
these
watch the
matters.
video.
Wow.
Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the
himself.
rules.
They're
There
playing
is
a video.
no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
The whole thing is an attempt to try and tie President Trump to this in a way that many people are upset nobody has been able to do yet. And that's the thing that is coming out here. You've got these representatives who are up here with all these charts and all of this stuff that looks like it's evidence of something, but it isn't evidence of anything, at least nothing tying Trump to any of this. Other than that, it is his Justice Department, which now has to talk about it.
He's breaking it down real good, I
We're not living
think.
it. What are we doing here?
Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm
Oh,
reclaiming my
the
time.
last-
I'm
former
glad you're
Attorney
asking
General.
about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't-
bigger than
when you can't-
Watergate.
when I don't answer
This,
a question the
this
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
Now,
where the
I want to know at
It's-
what point.
and she's
at
the
what
only
point
one they want to
did
be
the
responsible
FBI,
for
the
it.
DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen,
But he's already in there,
to release the
unredacted,
internal
40,000
decision about
times.
whether to prosecute
They're
him or
fighting
not,
about nothing.
and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men. Time of the gentleman has expired. May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman.
Wow. If you think this is a cover up, her quote unquote deflecting is evidence of that. Or if you think this whole thing is a circus put on by people who could have pursued this in the past with past attorney generals and past FBIs and never did for some reason, this is also evidence of that. Why are all these people going after it now? Because they don't like the president and they want to tie this to the president.
I did not expect this to happen. Trump was one of the first people who was a whistleblower on Jeffrey Epstein. More evidence that Trump was the original Jeffrey Epstein whistleblower is coming out in the court documents. Trump was responsible for Epstein's first conviction. So you remember whenever this came out?
When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant.
I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation.
I now see why Biden didn't release the Epstein files when he had 4 years to do so. I don't think anybody was predicting this. This is the file. Knew Epstein was disgusting.
Wow.
Trump said Maxwell was Epstein's operative. She is evil and to focus on her. Trump told Blank that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out they were investigating Epstein. No one could explain how Epstein made his money. Prince Andrew was a fixture in Palm Beach. So Jeffrey Epstein thought that Trump ratted him out. Epstein came to believe that it was Trump who had first caused him to be investigated by the law enforcement in 2005. This
is where you get the idea that Epstein actually had it in for Trump and that he wanted to try and get rid of Trump somehow, and that he was actually part of this whole smear campaign when he was around. But for some reason, we're not hearing any of this from the people that are trying to tie the current attorney general to it instead of the past attorney general or the past administrations that had this information sooner.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering, the gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General's allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
place is
I have
imploding.
unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for a UC.
All right. This is an example. I'm submitting these three.
That is crazy.
That are entirely redacted.
That is crazy.
Even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from A.G. Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files that you.
Chairman, are we going to,
I'm
going to recess for votes? Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent.
The frustrating thing about this is the fact that there are redactions. And whenever you see something like this black piece of paper up here where the whole page is redacted, everyone wants to know what it says and what it's talking about. You can't hide something, even if there's a reason to hide it, and not have people talk about it forever. I mean, that's how Area 51 survived. But here's where things get even crazier.
From Texas is recognized for UC.
Thank you so much. Donald Trump's approval rating implodes on his strongest issue. This is from
Jasmine
Newsweek
Crockett.
Today. It says 40% of people
Thank you.
approve of
You don't
Trump's
need to
handling
read
of
the article to
immigration
us.
and border security, while 60% disapprove.
Without
That
objection,
is a net
admitted.
drop
Now I
to
recognize the
negative
gentleman
20.
from California, Mr. Lou.
Here we go, Mr. Lou.
Cut her off.
Wait till he gets going. This is fascinating. Do these
Thank you,
people
Attorney
want
General
the
Bondi,
truth? That's
for
what you
being
need to be
here today.
asking yourself.
I'm
Do
gonna
these
show you
career
two
politicians
photos.
want the truth?
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, he's definitely guilty.
Under the law
There's no
Congress
conspiracy.
passed, you were allowed to.
See, this is how you catch somebody in the files. You have evidence like this. You have somebody like this who did all the stuff they hope Trump did. They were really hoping they could get information like this on Trump, but they never could. And that's why these people never cared. They didn't care that President Clinton was in these files in a way that President Trump was not. They didn't care that Prince Andrew was in these files in a way that President Trump was not. They didn't even care that the new mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani's relatives, his mother, were even mentioned in these files in a way that President Trump wasn't. You see, none of this mattered at all until Trump was in charge, and they thought that by having the Department of Justice go through this exercise and releasing very sensitive information while having to cover up large amounts of things, that they could create a scenario that casts doubt on whether or not this is a transparent thing, that casts doubt and conjecture on whether or not someone is hiding something. That's why this lives and is never going to go away. I've spent a lot of time walking the streets of New York City, showing apartments, talking about crime, and letting people know what life is really like on the ground here right now. And one thing has become impossible to ignore. Everything is more expensive. Everything feels more fragile. And the people in the middle are getting squeezed from every direction. Rents are up, utilities are up, groceries are up. And the same institutions that created this mess are out there buying homes and telling regular people just to adjust. Living in a city like New York teaches you pretty quickly that systems don't always work the way they're supposed to. And that's why I believe in owning something real, like physical gold and silver from American Hartford Gold, not because it's flashy, but because it's tangible. Gold isn't tied to a landlord, a bank's balance sheet, or the next policy experiment. American Hartford Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews. You can have gold or silver shipped straight to your door or stored securely in a tax-advantaged gold IRA if you're thinking long-term. On top of that, right now, if you call and mention my name, you could get $20,000 in free silver with your first purchase. Call 866-679-4550 or text cash to 65532. That's 866-679-4550 or text cash to 65532. Or you can just click the link in the description of this video. When you live in the real world instead of a spreadsheet, you learn fast. Betting everything on systems you don't control is incredibly risky, while owning something real just makes sense.
That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers.
See?
The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice
Here
stated,
it comes.
quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
Prince
I
Andrew's
don't
been
believe you asked
investigated.
Merrick Garland
He's
these
finished.
questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Oh.
I agree with you. I agree with you. During the
You're not
Biden,
here.
They all reclaim their time. The second anyone mentions Merrick Garland, people want to immediately reclaim their time. And that's what's so interesting about this. You got these career politicians that could have done something, and nobody cared until Trump was connected to it. Even if Trump's not in the files, getting his Justice Department to have these conversations over and over again, it is brand damaging to people who might be on the fence and to people who might look at this guy and say, yeah, he's a nice guy. He just wants to get to the truth. And now that these files are released, now there's all this evidence and it looks like something's being hidden and I'm just not too sure. I mean, you can't blame people for thinking that way. But the problem is the folks on the screen right here that are bringing all these accusations, they're leaving half the truth, more than half the truth out. And that's the sad part.
In 2005, this is also one from 2016.
Bill Clinton. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh.
A lot of problems.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no
Oh.
question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
Yeah, he wasn't protecting
quite
Prince Andrew.
obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming. Yes.
Unbecoming.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm being polite in the sense that he was.
But you were staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted.
Yeah.
It's a convenient place to stay. There's, I mean,
A convenient place to stay.
That I threw him out of a club. I didn't want anything to do with him. That was many, many years ago. Now, other people, they went all over with him. They went to his island.
Yep.
Find out the people that went to the island.
Yeah, why is he in the clear? He's not in the clear, but what it was showing is that before any public scrutiny occurred, Donald Trump expressed concern about Epstein
Yep.
directly to the authorities. It seemed pretty obvious to me that Donald Trump and Epstein were pretty close at one point. It's very hard really for me to say that, you know, like this guy's totally innocent, but at the same time, whenever you're the guy that's ratting this person out before anything ever happens publicly,
Yep.
then I do think that looks very good on you privately. I think.
So here's the thing. If Trump had done what is also in the files, if he had blown the whistle on Epstein after something had happened, this would look very different. This would look very different if Trump says, okay, I'm going to run for president. By the way, you should check out this guy Epstein. Then it'd be like, whoa, wait a second. He's trying to disassociate himself. I think that the whole reason we didn't hear anything about Epstein and Trump for a long time was because everyone who really knew and knew what was on both sides of the aisles here realized there's no way to pin this on the president in the way you can pin this stuff on other people who were in these files for doing things that were wrong. If anything, these files show that Trump was ahead of the game when it came to taking down Epstein. He was ahead of the game when these career politicians who are now accusing the Trump Justice Department of protecting the guy, he was way ahead of them. He acted before they did, and now they're trying to say it's his fault.
I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball. As
Okay.
did Attorney General Bill Barr,
Oh.
as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures.
Yeah.
But you are in charge.
Now they're all on
You
it.
have the power to change things, to hold these men
See?
accountable, and you're doing the opposite.
See?
You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
It's Trump's
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I answer
question.
your question about protecting?
You answered the question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein
See,
files.
he's all over the files. Even though he's the whistleblower in the files, he's all over the files. There's a massive cover-up. This is a big problem. You have the power to do something about it. You see?
Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties.
Like
with
former
Jeffrey
Prince Andrew.
Epstein.
You see the comparison?
I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I mean, claim my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no
President
evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please
I'd
stop
like
the
to
clock.
claim my
Please
time.
stop the clock.
The legislation.
It's a massive brawl here.
This is
Time,
this
I'd like
is
to take my
ridiculous.
time.
belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a
I
crime.
believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is the
No
witness
evidence
statement
Trump
who
committed a
called
crime.
into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone.
The goal here is to mention Epstein and Trump in the same sentence as many times as possible in an effort to try and take them down. It's actually a pretty weak takedown attempt because the evidence that we have for other people in the files is really, really bad. We don't have any of this stuff for Trump. They want it. They want to keep mentioning Trump and Epstein over and over again and just beat people over the head with Trump, Epstein, Trump, Epstein, Trump, Epstein, Trump, and just this big conspiracy and all these redactions and, we don't know anything and, they're supposed to release it. And they never did. You see how this is going to work? They're never going to be able to release 100% of the information here. And even if they release 100% of the information, you know what the accusation will be then? They'll say, there's files they didn't show us. There's something under Pam Bondi's desk. And she didn't release it because she's protecting. You see, the conspiracy will go on forever. This is a never-ending conspiracy at this point. It's going to go down in history books. People are going to be talking about this decades from now just because of how much it is being talked about and how it is something that powerful people were involved in who people think did not face justice. Do we know everyone in these files? No. I mean, look at all the blankouts and stuff. This is crazy. But what we do know is that the one person they're using these files to try and take down, to the exclusion of everyone else, isn't in them the way they want them to be. And that's what's really driving these people mad. And that's why these hearings are imploding. What do you think about that? I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, that was a good one, I thought. Breaking down that Pam Bondi show there. I got some short ones. And then I'm going to play a 15-minute Megan with an update she has with an interview from Arizona, the mom. This must have been tonight.
Bible were sold in the United States that at any time in the last 100 years. Now, how about that? How about that? Did you know that, Mr. Speaker? You know, Mike Johnson's a very religious person, and he does not hide it. He'll say to me sometimes at lunch, "Sir, may we pray?" I say, "Excuse me? We're having lunch." You know, it's okay with me. But he's a very religious person, and he is popular, and he's doing an unbelievable job. So I think God is watching over you. God is watching over him. I don't know about me. So I hang around with him because I feel I'm protected a little bit. In the last 12 months, young Americans attended church at nearly twice the rate as they did 4 years ago. And many churches, you see the stats. I mean, people are talking about it. The radical left is not happy about it. Many Democrats are not happy about it. This, by the way, will be the last year the Democrats show up to this event. I got to say, how the hell do you vote for these people? But some churches are seeing a 30%, 50%, or even 70% increase in the number of converts and also the number of people going to church every week. To support this exciting renewal this morning, I'm pleased to announce that on May 17th, 2026, that we're inviting Americans from all across the country to come together on our national mall to pray, to give thanks, and we are going to do something that everyone said, like, that's tough. We're going to rededicate America as one nation under God. You know, a lot of people
Okay, that was it. It was only a few minutes. See what I got next. Let's do the weather report, you guys. Nine minutes.
Not only are we going to have lightning and thunder, but also heavy rain. And meanwhile, the West Coast is bracing for another atmospheric river, taking aim at California just days after the last one. So we've actually got quite a bit to talk about, so let's dive right into it. All right, so we're tracking a pretty significant storm coming in here this weekend, this Valentine's Day weekend for the southern United States. This is threatening outdoor plans and travel for millions of people, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a video here. This is the first time we've really had to talk about heavy rain, thunderstorms, and potentially even severe weather in quite some time. So let's all remember what this is like. You can see that low pressure system forming off the southwest coast as we go into the day tomorrow, and then it really slings some moisture and some energy up there over Texas into the mid-Mississippi River Valley and then eventually into the deep south. A couple of days here are going to be problematic with severe weather. I don't think we're going to have major outbreaks or anything, but I think we'll have hail, damaging winds, maybe even a couple of tornadoes. But the main thing with this, I think, is almost certainly going to be the rain and the warmth. Okay, this storm system is going to help keep some warm air around. On the backside of it, it is going to get a little bit cooler again, but behind that, it's just going to warm up again, which is absolutely plumb wild. If you look out to the west, though, above my head here, you can see another big swirling low pressure system getting ready to slam into California. That's another atmospheric river on the way right after the last one, and it's going to dump a bunch of rain. And here's that official outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow. This is Friday into Saturday. We've got a marginal risk from Fort Stockton up past Abilene, up towards Childress, Oklahoma City. You guys are included in this. I mean, this is just a marginal risk, but there are storm chasers traveling all the way down here to the middle of nowhere in Texas to try to see some storms tomorrow because it's been so daggone long. But yeah, get ready for some isolated problems with some hail and damaging winds out here. The tornado threat is low. It's a little bit higher as we go into the day on Saturday and Sunday, but it's still not high here. The main problem is going to be heavy rain, but we've got a marginal risk of severe weather from Oklahoma City down to Shreveport and Baton Rouge over to Houston, San Antonio, Austin. This is Valentine's Day, okay? And the outlook almost looks like a heart. Not quite, but it's pretty close.
Introducing Virtual Up. Your coffee, your way.
And if you love rain, you're going to love this storm, because we're going to get quite a bit of it out here in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas and Louisiana especially. A couple places out here will get anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain. There might be some isolated spots that get over 5 inches of rain over the next week or so. Most of that's going to fall within the next 3 or 4 days. So get ready for the rain in the green and the blues and the purples here as we go forward. And speaking of rain, we're going to have a ton of it over here on the West Coast. We've got a breather today and a little bit of tomorrow, but as we head into the weekend, we're looking at a deep upper level trough swinging up towards California, setting the stage for renewed flooding concerns and heavy mountain snow. This is going to be another system that dumps a daggone boatload of snow up there in the mountains. We're going to see another couple feet in some of the peaks. Maybe even this time we'll see it reach a little bit lower with the elevation, but still anything above 6,000 feet could see 2, 3, 4 feet of snow. And then in the valleys, we are going to see some rain, and that is going to set the stage for some flooding problems. And the peak intensity is going to probably be Sunday through Tuesday, especially Monday and Tuesday. So this is the onset of this is going to be on the weekend, but this is really going to be an early next week kind of storm for the vast majority of our friends over here in California, Oregon, and Washington. I am specifically concerned about the burn scars in Southern California. Any heavy burst of rain on Monday could trigger debris flows. All right, so that's something that we've got to keep a very close eye on. And we're about to dive so much deeper into that, but first we have to talk about today's very awesome sponsor. You guys know things move fast here around the Weather House. That's why I rely on today's sponsor, Factor, to help us keep eating healthy. Their meals are fresh, never frozen, and ready in just 2 minutes. It takes the guesswork out of consistently eating healthy, and honestly, the food is actually good. I'm also really a huge fan of the variety they have now. Their menu has doubled to over 80 rotating weekly meals. They've got twice as many seafood meals like salmon and shrimp, plus high protein favorites like beef fillets, turkey, and meatballs. Whether you need more high protein or calorie smart options, they've got you covered. They even have gluten-free options, free from low quality seed oils and refined sugars. It's real food that fits your routine. Head on over to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code HALLYALL FB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code HALLYALLFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Huge shout out to Factor for sponsoring this video. It means a lot and we really do love the stuff. Now let's get back into the forecast. Now let's talk about these temperatures because this seems to be on everybody's mind. It got really warm today. It's going to get pretty warm tomorrow. It's not going to be quite as warm over here in my neck of the woods, for example, in eastern Kentucky tomorrow as it was today. We're only expecting highs to get up in to like the 30s. You can see there's another push of cooler air trying to, hang on over here in the Northeast. Highs tomorrow won't get above 20 degrees in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. We do have more warm air on the way. Let me show you what's happening here. So our storm system that could cause severe weather tomorrow in Oklahoma is going to kind of bring a cold front around, and it's going to try to cool things off in the south. But notice what happens as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We get this secondary resurgence of warm air that's going to affect a lot of people from Texas up to South Dakota, across Iowa, into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and everywhere south of there, including Arkansas, Mississippi, Georgia, and South Carolina. We're going to see highs in the 50s and 60s, and there's going to be a couple of days here where we see highs in the 70s, widespread. Look at this. This is going to be a nice day. Wednesday, February 18th, Raleigh, North Carolina. We're talking about high of 65, Nashville 70, Memphis 72, 77 in Dallas, up near 80 and 90 in southern Texas. So this is going to be a fantastic day for the vast majority of the lower 48. Now, it's still going to be plumb cold in Bismarck. It's still going to be pretty cold in Minneapolis, and it's still going to be cold in Maine. And for most of our friends in Canada, it's going to be cold, unless you're right down here in southwestern portions of Ontario near Detroit. There's going to be a couple places in the 50s down there, but you can really see where we're going to have this warm air corridor. And buddy, we're all going to get so spoiled. We're going to get so spoiled, but remember, this is a false spring. Don't fall for it. Okay, this is a false spring. Do not fall for it. I do think another big cold blast is on the way. And I don't even think we're done with snow. You heard it here first. Share it on Facebook. I don't care. Go ahead and clip this right now. Big snowstorm still yet to hit America sometime this year. Clip it. Copy and paste it. Frame it. It's official from digital meteorologist Ryan Hall. Even the 6 to 10 day CPC outlook is trying to fool us, right? With this false spring showing above average temperatures for everybody that's expected to see it over the next few days. And, this is correct. We are going to be above average in Rapid City, Santa Fe, Jacksonville, New York for the most part over the next 10 days. But it's after that. What goes up must come down, especially this time of year. It's after that I start getting concerned about another big cold blast. And there's so much energy coming out of the Pacific and the Gulf that we're bound to get another storm. I don't know if it'll be a nor'easter or an APS runner or a clipper or what, but we're going to get another widespread, impactful winter storm before this year is done. Hold me to it. And one of the reasons I'm so confident in this is the fact that we've got really cold air in Canada right now. We've got wind chills in Alaska that have recently hit 70 degrees below zero. Now, even for Alaska, that's plumb cold. Okay. And whenever we've got that much cold air locked up in Canada, it's going to try to find its way down into the lower 48. Now, are we going to have 70 degree below zero wind chills? Probably not, but we are going to have some cold air. So enjoy the warmth if you have it. But remember that February is famous for rug pulls. Winter is very likely not done with us yet. But yeah, that's pretty much all the weather talk I have for you today. Make sure you're ready for the.
Okay, that's our weather report for tonight. So that lady we like is back on with one more video, she says. Almost 5 minutes. Then the next one will be 8 minutes. Finding, and I'm not sure about how this lady, the other lady, is good or bad. I think she's good.
Mouth that I was stepping back from TikTok, and here I am again. But you know what? I went outside. I was cleaning the cat area. I couldn't stop thinking about something. I have to get this out. You people on the left, aren't y'all fucking tired? Aren't you tired, guys? You guys have been doing this for 10 straight years. I'd like to see what your cancer rates are. I'd like to see what your heart rates are. I'd like to see what kind of health problems you guys have, because you can't harbor this much hate and this much animosity and be healthy. You know, and I can't get over is the fact that you guys went and reported a video I made sharing the fact that a mama and 2 children who were illegal were abducted and that there was blood everywhere. And they were missing, and I'm trying to get it out there because nobody heard. Y'all reported that video as misinformation. Anything, because of the hate for somebody who cares about the president of the United States. You know, and y'all come on people's posts and you say, ain't no love like Christian hate, or ain't no hate like Christian love, whatever the fuck the saying is. Can I clue you guys in? Do you know that up until last year, I haven't said a prayer or talked to God or been close or believed since 2014? Do you know what changed me? You know what fucking changed me? And oh, my mouth is dirty, but so be it. Y'all did. You fucking did it. Seeing the amount of hate and evil that you guys possess turned me around, because I thought, my God, there has to be a God for this much evil to be on this earth, and y'all don't even hide it. And how many people did you guys turn to God by taking out Charlie Kirk? When will you learn that no matter how bad you are, you temporarily win? You do. You temporarily win. You took out Charlie Kirk. Wow, for y'all. Y'all got to celebrate and everything. But what happened? What happened? The donations tripled, quadrupled, thousands %. I don't do math or maths, but you know what I'm trying to say. You turn so many people to God with your evil. That's what tells me there's a God. And you care so much about illegals that you made TikTok take down a video of me telling about a woman who was illegal and her 2 kids that have been taken and probably are no longer on this earth. Y'all reported that video. That is how deep your fucking hate goes for one man. How can y'all walk and chew gum at the same time? The fact that you hate one man so bad, and then y'all are up on the fucking social platform saying that one guy saying that he paralyzed somebody through giving them anesthesia because he found out they were MAGA. Y'all wanting to unalive people because they care about one man? And you wonder why we care about this one man? You wonder why we are the way we are? And then you make fun of us? And then you try to shut us up? But you've only led so many people to God. Everything y'all do comes back to bite you in the fucking ass. Oh, yeah, you might get people on here banned. Hell, I've got people on here that's been banned 13 times, but they come right back. It takes a while, but they get their followers back. But what have y'all really accomplished? What are y'all trying to accomplish? You're doing nothing but hating on people. What a sad, fucked up life to live, to be consumed. Donald Trump is the most powerful man in the fucking universe besides Jesus right now. He's right there beside Jesus because that's where y'all put him. So take care and fuck off. Hey guys, so I literally
I hope she stays on. Maybe she'll change her mind. I hope she doesn't quit. Okay, the next one 9, and finally go this one here. I haven't played her in a while.
Plan for North America. It's in Arabic and it's in English. This is the version presented by our government. You see the number, the government number on the bottom. It was presented as evidence in the largest terrorism financing trial in the history of our country, where our government sued the Holy Land Foundation in Dallas, Texas in 2007, 2008, and handed down 108 guilty verdicts to Muslim American and Muslim American organizations, raising money in the United States to the tune of over $12 million, raised in $150 and $160 segments, which is the price of a suicide belt for a suicide bomber. So here is the plan. It's in Arabic and it's in English. And I'm going to share it. So this is fact. We're not talking opinion. So it starts with that. Here it is in the English version. So we start on this page with the English version. On this page is when they start talking about the Muslim Brotherhood plan for North America. And it says, and I'm going to read you a paragraph. Here it is highlighted in yellow. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brother in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging, and they put that under parentheses, its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions. As you can see, they don't mince words. They're not beating around the bush. This is evidence. This is fact. This is not opinion. On the second page, I'm going to read you just a little bit. It says, the success of the movement in America in establishing an Islamic base with power and effectiveness will be the best support and aid to the global movement project. They have a 100-year global plan to infiltrate and dominate and bring down the West. They are now 35 years into their plan. And what are we doing? Nothing. We are burying our head in the sand, pretending the problem did not exist. If you have time, I'd like to read you a couple more items. Please. But if we don't have time,
No. We have time. We have plenty. No. We have time.
All right. All right. So, and they talk about how they are building segments to infiltrate our society, all our society. In this plan, they talk about, for example, creating this whole page is lists of all the organizations they want to create. The women's organization, an economic organization, youth organization, social organization, the security organization, political organization, judicial organization, the media and art organization, the intellectual and cultural organization, scientific, educational, and professional organization, the Islamic American Founding Conference, the Shura Council for the Islamic American Movement. These are the consultants for Obama, by the way. The Executive Office of the Islamic American Movement, Chairman of the Islamic Movement and its official spokesperson, field leaders and organization and Islamic centers, By the way, right now, we have 3,500 mosques and Islamic centers all throughout the United States. But the most important page of this is the last page. On this page, they list 29 front Islamic organizations set up in America with the sole purpose of destroying America from within. And I'm going to start. Number 1 on the list. Here we go. And here's the title: a list of our organizations and the organizations of our friends. Number 1, ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. Islamic Society of North America were advisors to President Obama about Middle East policy. So not only we had the Fox watching the hen house, we had the Fox inside the White House talking policy in the ear of the president. This is exactly why when Obama delivered his speech in Egypt, remember his first famous speech to the Arabic world, to the Islamic world, he went to Egypt. And contrary to Mubarak, at that time, the president of Egypt, who was against the Muslim Brotherhood, Obama goes behind and around and on top of the president of Egypt, Mubarak, and brings in the Muslim Brotherhood and gives them the 2 front seats in front of his speech when he was there. Number 2 on the list, the MSA.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I ask you one question? Forgive me, I wasn't paying close enough attention back then, but I thought Mubarak was an absolute monster. I thought
Mubarak was he was not a monster. He was before the Muslim Brotherhood. Mubarak was the vice president when Sadat, who signed the peace treaty with Israel, he was working with Sadat. He got elected after Sadat was assassinated, and he continued the peace treaty with Israel. The Muslim Brotherhood hated his guts. And when they did their coup in the Arab Spring, remember the Arab Spring? And everybody had high hopes.
Yes.
That's when they got rid of him, threw him out of power, and they took power until Sisi, who's right now the leader, did a military coup where they went in, took over the military, took over the government, and kicked out the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay, got it. I'm with you.
Yeah. So number 2 on the list is the Muslim Student Association. The Muslim Student Association has more chapters on American college campuses than the Democrats and the Republicans combined. And this is exactly why when after October 7th, and you saw all these people, the students demonstrating on college campuses, where do you think they came from? The Muslim Student Association has been working college campuses for years. Actually, they set it up in 1964 in the United States, the first Muslim Student Association. Right now, they are Goliath. Right now, they gave us Mamdani. Remember, Mamdani was involved with the Muslim Student Association. And I can go down the list. Let's see. We've got the Islamic Medical Association, the Association of Muslim Scientists and Engineers, etc. NATE, the North Islamic American Trust, which owns the deed to the majority of mosques in the United States. Number 22 on the list is IAP, Islamic Association for Palestine, which later became CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, because they wanted a name that doesn't show that they are supporters of Hamas, etc. This is fact. This is not Brigitte Gabriel's opinion. This is not Jillian's opinion. This is not Islamophobes making things up. Now, the radicals can say anything they want. By the way, this plan is available right now. We have a promotion on our website, actforamerica.org. Go to our website, my organization. We are the largest grassroots movement in America, standing up to fight to preserve our culture, our security, and our values. By the way, when we talk about these issues and people call us Islamophobes, I don't give a fly who thinks I'm an Islamophobe. Our job right now is protect our country from an enemy determined to destroy us. And who calls us Islamophobes? CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the SPLC, who works with CARE, the ACLU, which basically became the legal arm of CARE. So the leftists and the Islamists right now are coming together, working together. The left is being used as the useful idiots at the hand of Islamists with an agenda. All these organizations in the United States, all 22 of them, working against us. I knew we were going to talk about this, so I'm prepared.
Wow. Wasn't expecting that good one. So the last 15 I'll play last. I want to play some short ones, you guys. Let's play this one first.
Get really fixated on the news, frequently expressing frustration where things are headed. You don't have many years left. You can't control any of this, and much of it likely won't impact you. Why waste your last years yelling at the TV spun up about the wider world? And he was just getting annihilated in the comments by, what I'm assuming is older folks who are like, well, we just want to know the truth. Why don't we get to know? I agree with them. 100%. I don't want to do this for anybody that lives in this muck, maybe. And maybe that's the difference, is that, I kind of live here. This is what I do. This is my job, my proverbial job. Okay. So, but I don't want to be Alex Jones still sitting here screaming into a mic. I don't want to be, Dan Bongino. Okay. Coming out here and getting everybody fired up and talking about things that I'm not sure I know what I'm talking about. The world is moving very fast. Okay. And I can't keep up. I just watched a video of some kid who was like in his 20s and he wrote 25 lines of code, and that code unredacted a lot of the Epstein documents, and he did it in like 30 minutes. I don't even know where to write code at. I don't have a clue. Talk to me about cryptocurrency. Fucking forget about it. By the time I am of age, I'm the same age say as Alex Jones is. I think he's 51, or Dan Bongino was like 54. By the time I am that age, okay, there's going to be a whole new plethora of things that I don't understand. And even if I understood it, wouldn't be able to comprehend. I started doing this because I felt like what I was doing was important. And I still feel like what I'm doing is important. With COVID, Pizzagate, it started with all of that. And then it went into the wars and then the money laundering. And all of that stuff was not very common knowledge. I got a lot of pushback on it. We all, a bunch of us got a lot of pushback on it. But it has become like mainstream, okay? And the younger generation has picked up on it, and it has almost kind of become their cross to carry. It's going to have to be them that makes the real change. It's going to have to be them that protects the next generation, because we are going to get to a point where we don't comprehend what a hacker does or how a hacker works or where to even go and do. It's hard for us to even definitively say something is AI and something is not. Like Facebook be Facebooking. And that's only going to get worse. And it is not going to be our generation that is going to continue screaming about this. And it was interesting because the same people that were screaming at him in his comments are some of the same people who are screaming about term limits, right? We don't want older fogies and boomers in Congress making decisions for a generation about things that they're never going to see come to fruition. It doesn't make any sense. And in my opinion, I feel that same way about the influencers. It doesn't make any sense for me to come out here and rage about things that, as we continue to go on, I don't know that I know a ton of. There's still stuff I feel like I need to talk about. Still stuff. I still feel like what I do is important right now, but there will come a time where I'm like, Am I doing this because I feel like it's important, because I feel like it's sending a message, or am I doing this just to try and stay relevant? Right now, I feel like the fight is to disengage the two-party ideology, or just the party ideology as a whole. Far too many people are indoctrinated in their right and left paradigm. We just got to get them damn Democrats out. I see it all the time. I see it everywhere from people who are my age. But as more and more information comes out, and as AI really starts to take hold, and we come into the age of artificial intelligence, crypto, things that I'm going to have to dip, because I'm not going to try and comprehend a lot of that. And I'll know when to bow out. Like, I feel like, and we're getting there. I don't want to be 50, 55 years old, 60 years old, 65 years old in the comments arguing with a bunch of bots. And I'm almost kind of setting the stage for it now a little bit. I have been the last year and a half or so. Like, we started the Substack, okay, because I love to cook. And not only do I love to cook, I do love to cook, but I love I love hanging out with you guys in a different way. The subs on X and Instagram and Facebook, like, they get all my recipes, they get all any tips or tricks that I have, they get all of my, that kind of stuff. And it's just a very fun, creative, more uplifting. I feel like it's almost more helpful way for me to do this. And eventually, my kids are going to move out. Like, the younger generation, they probably don't care about, they don't care about my opinion now. Let's be really honest. But when I get to that age, like, you're really not going to care about my opinion. Yeah, I can offer wisdom the next time, like, the big pandemic's going to hit. I can say, hey, I remember when this happened in 2020, this happened, and this happened. It's all in the same scheme. Okay, so just watch your six. I can offer that wisdom, but I don't want to live in this. I don't want to yell at people. I don't. It's draining. and it keeps my nervous system fired up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And right now, I feel like what we're doing is really important. I do feel like the answer is turning back to your faith and turning back to Christ. I do feel like if you want to do something to help combat this, it's going to be that. That is what you can do. You can pick up a Bible, watch The Chosen. It'll help you kind of break down the bigger stories, then pick it up and correlate with what you learned, okay, and what you saw, and get right with God. But other than that, like I want to know when to bow out. I want to know when it's I don't want to be Eminem out here thinking I can still rap at 55 years old. So kudos to that guy for opening the conversation. Not everybody.
Okay, she does a good job, lady, on TikTok. I got a photo I almost forgot to show for our Canadian friends. There was a big shooting at a school. I don't know if we got any in or not. I don't know if Ann's in or not. So I'm not sure when this happened, but it says 10 dead and more than 25 injured as Canada suffers the deadliest school shooting this century. The suspect, described only as a woman in a dress with brown hair, is among the dead. So that was a sad one. A lady from California is new on TikTok.
Just did in Florida. He's demanding the arrest of Gavin Newsom again after catching California resurrecting dead voters to hand wins to Democrats in past elections. I'm Fernanda Perez, and here's what you need to know. This is the same playbook Democrats ran in Minnesota and Georgia, bringing votes back from the grave to steal elections. The FBI proved the Democratic Party rigged the 2020 elections, and now, with Gavin Newsom facing an arrest for billion-dollar fraud and secret Panama accounts stashing stolen money, escape isn't an option. Not this time. It gets wilder. Newsom's former chief of staff arrested for fraud confessed to taking orders straight from Newsom to move federal funds and fly to Panama with suitcases full of millions. Dana Williamson flipped, made a deal with the DOJ and handed over documents that could finally put Newsom behind bars. Pam Bondi already has every file she needs to take Newsom down, and this could be the end of Democrat corruption in California. Finally, it's time to see these crooks dragged out and held accountable. Personally, I can't wait to watch Newsom hauled out of his mansion in FBI handcuffs for the world to see. You have to see what Ron...
Okay, that's a good news report lady out of California. I started following her on TikTok. Yep. Thanks, Michael.
And you're enabling mental illness on full display today. Look, to the men in this room, we see you. Half of you won't even look at these girls. What the heck? You're cowards. And I didn't want to say this, but grow up here, seriously. You're men. My name is Sonia Shaw. I'm the Chino Valley Unified School Board President, and I'm the mama bear of two amazing female girl athletes. I stand here today with a growing coalition of school board members right behind me, and this is just a small portion of them. I also stand with parents, students across California, these beautiful girls. Together, we are here for one reason: justice for our girls. I've been here multiple times. Girls' sports are being sacrificed by you guys on the altar of ideology. The harm is real. Do you not hear the stories? And it's irreversible on what you allow on your watch. CIF, you cannot undo the damage already done. The medals never won, the podiums stolen, the scholarships lost, the emotional harm suffered by these girls. But you can change course, and you know it. The last time I was here, I asked CIF leadership who will stand for our girls. Not one hand was raised. Not one. Not one voice spoke up, just silence. Cowards. So how about today? Show us right now which one of you are on the right side of history. Raise your hand if you want to work with us. CIF. Come on, look at this room. CIF, come on. Men, fathers, grandparents, women. Not one of you, my teacher in high school, raise your hand. These are girls. You're watching them be destroyed. What the hell is wrong with you guys? We're going to change every seat. And you guys, when we get more school board, you will not be commissioners. We'll make sure every one of your faces are posted across California. And you are going to be known as the ones that caused this harm. How dare you? I'm a mother. My heart is beating so fast hearing these stories over and over. And not one of you would raise your hand, you cowards.
Well said. Well said. That was out of California school board. Hey, we got one Q video. Yep, Lori.
On the things that actually are important to America. I'm not going to sit here and focus on the things that are just window dressing and the things that the media is trying to get us to focus on. Things like the hearing with Keith Ellison, and everyone's trying to get their last jabs in before the election. I'm not going to focus on this hoax or whatever this is going on out west with the kidnapping.
Yep.
I don't know at
Sounds
what
right,
point we
Maria.
were focusing the whole country on a kidnapping in which the head of the FBI is this invested in. There's more to this story, and I could give you my own opinion on it. But again, I'm choosing to focus on Trump's action today. And so the action that he took, I mentioned this before, but rescinding the Obama era endangerment findings for greenhouse gases. Guys, I know it seems boring and it seems like the type of thing that you hear and your eyes glaze over, but what this just did is it unleashed America's ability to compete and to create energy. This just opened up America's ability to put people back to work, real jobs that actually make real money. This situation that Obama created by putting these EPA regulations in place, it put over 500,000 people out of work. I'm not talking about the type of jobs that you can go and replace going to work at Lowe's or Home Depot or working at Chick-fil-A. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. But these were jobs that people were supporting their families with. And the mainstream media on both sides are losing their minds right now. They just can't believe that Donald Trump could be this reckless. At some point, I have to understand why both the lefty and the rhinos are so invested in this climate change situation. Is the climate changing? Yes. Do we put people out of work because of it? No. The lefties and the rhinos can't complain at the same time about people not making a fair wage and being able to support their families while putting people out of work, 500,000 people, from jobs that are actually high-paying jobs that could actually support families. You can't have it both ways. And so again, Climate change. Of course, we see the climate changing. Is that 100% man-made? I don't believe it is. Look at the science. I mean, but I'm not going to go there. I mean, you'd have to be a fool not to realize that, yeah, the climate is changing constantly. Who's responsible for it? Go figure. But at the end of the day, for Obama to cut the legs from up underneath Americans, meanwhile, the rest of the world is creating energy left and right. The air in China is completely unbreathable, but we're taking a back seat to China and deciding to take the moral high ground here when we have people in our country that are suffering, that are jobless. I don't think so. And Donald Trump has seen it. And he said, you know what? No, we're going to put our people back to work. We're going to create our own energy. We have the ability to do so. And we're going to create enough energy so that we don't need to rely on other countries to produce energy for ourselves. That is something I voted for. Let me know what you guys think about this. Comment below. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Hey, cue video. Short clip.
Rancheros South, telling people to get out of their homes. Channel 9's Nick Papantonis is live on Yucatan Way, and Nick, deputies said these explosives came from the military.
And Greg, the quote that I got from someone is that a commander somewhere is going to be in the hot seat. They have to explain every single bullet fired during a training, and it's easier to explain when you miscount that than the grenades found in this house. We watched the family who lives in this Yucatan Way home go back into the house after Sumter County deputies said they found explosives and had to evacuate part of the neighborhood Tuesday. But when we went to ask them how the explosives got there, they didn't answer the door and shut their blinds. Sources at the sheriff's office said they found hand grenades inside the home's attic. The agency's spokeswoman confirming the explosives were stolen from the U.S. military and the investigation had been turned over to the FBI. I called a former U.S. Navy explosives handler who is now a military defense lawyer. He told me theft of military equipment isn't rare, but it's usually items like night vision goggles. Explosives, he said, are extremely uncommon. Because of the layers of checking and inventory, he equated getting an explosive off base as something out of an action movie and said the thief's commanders could be punished as well. He told me theft of military equipment usually carries a 3 to 6 year punishment. Explosives, he said, would be on the higher end of that range. And obviously right now, we don't know who stole the explosives. If it was someone in that house, if it was a friend, if it was someone that just dropped by one day and put a box in the attic, that part is going to be part of the investigation now underway. Live in the Villages, Nick Papantonis, Channel 9 Eyewitness.
Okay, that's an update from a crime. Okay, I got two short ones, and then I got one. George finally came out with a short video, so that will be 3. And I'm going to finish off with Megyn Kelly. That's an hour from me.
Side 7 News Detroit has been noticed popping up almost daily.
And it had us all wondering, has bad winter weather been the problem or something else?
Yes, for example, the city of Roseville tells us they've had 40 breaks since the beginning of the year in East Point, 25. And also we checked in Harper Woods, they've had another 14.
Today, 7 News Detroit reporter Peter Maxwell is checking in with those communities and talking to neighbors on 1 Harper Woods Street who are dealing with their second water main issue in less than a week.
Another water main break here in Harper Woods left residents without running water for several hours on Thursday. And this is just the latest in a string of breaks city leaders are blaming on aging infrastructure.
Very inconvenient, very much so.
The infrastructure needs to be, kept up.
Water main breaks have been popping up in Harper Woods, the latest one happening right here on Hollywood Street.
I was leaving out, trying to get ready for an appointment. And yeah, I discovered I didn't have any water.
Ashley Manuel tells me this is the second one in just a week on her block. The first one happening just across the street from her home.
My daughter, my 4-year-old, the first water main break, she was like, the water's coming out yellow. The water's coming out yellow. So every day I'm like, well, did you wash your hands? She's like, the water coming out yellow. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
They should be doing something about it. This is not normal.
And neighbor Kim Kozakowski isn't wrong. According to Harper Woods, they've had 14 water main breaks so far this year. To put that into perspective, they've had a total of 38 in all of last year. So I went over to Harper Woods City Hall to speak with city manager John Szymanski to find out why. He says it's related to the aging infrastructure.
Because of the aging infrastructure and the temperature, and especially the long temperature that we've experienced recently, yes, we're experiencing a lot of water main breaks right now.
Szymanski says they are trying to get ahead of these water main breaks by taking a look at the pipes below ground with cameras and fixing pipes before they become a problem.
We've spent millions of dollars on the infrastructure, and that will save us tens of millions of dollars the next 10 years going forward.
Harper Woods is not alone. East Point so far has had 25. Crews on Wednesday were racing to repair this one that flooded the street. In Roseville, crews were fixing their 40th water main break on Wednesday. City managers all pointing to aging infrastructure. And back in Harper Woods, Ashley is thankful for the crews working to restore the water.
I just want to say shout out to the crews because I appreciate their service.
In Harper Woods, Peter Maxwell, 7 News, Detroit.
Okay, yeah, it's about an hour for me. Okay.
Together a story that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old matriarch whose sudden disappearance from her Tucson home has gripped the nation, wasn't just the devoted mother and grandmother everyone thought she was. She was something else entirely. For over 30 years, Nancy wore a facade so seamless that even her closest family members, including her famous daughter Savannah, never caught a glimpse of the truth beneath. But when a mysterious package arrived at the Guthrie family doorstep just days after her vanishing, the floodgates opened, revealing a double life that explains everything, and nothing at all about why she was taken. Nancy Guthrie had always been the quiet force holding her family together. After her husband Charles died of a heart attack in 1989, leaving her a widow at 47 with 3 teenagers to raise in Tucson, Arizona, she became the epitome of resilience. Friends and neighbors remember her as the woman who never complained, who turned her modest ranch-style home in the Catalina foothills into a haven of stability amid the desert's harsh beauty. She worked part-time as a bookkeeper for local businesses, volunteered at her church, and instilled in her kids, Savannah, Annie, and Cam, a blend of faith, humor, and unyielding determination. Savannah often shared on air how her mom's grit shaped her. She faced everything head-on, no self-pity, just grace and strength. Viewers ate it up, seeing Nancy as the ultimate mom figure, the rock behind the Today Show star. But rocks have cracks, and Nancy's ran deeper than anyone imagined. The first hint came not from a dramatic confession or a family blow-up, but from a simple, unmarked envelope delivered to Savannah's New York doorstep on February 6, 2026, 5 days after Nancy vanished. Inside was a faded photograph of Nancy, much younger, standing arm in arm with a man no one recognized, outside a small cafe in Santa Fe, New Mexico. On the back, in unfamiliar handwriting, she deserved more than secrets. Ask about Elena. Savannah showed it to her siblings during a frantic video call that night. Who is this guy? Who's Elena? Annie whispered, her voice trembling. Cam stared blankly, shaking his head. They had no idea, but the photo was dated 1992, 3 years after their father's death. And it was the key that unlocked Nancy's hidden world. It turns out Nancy Guthrie had been living a parallel existence since the early 1990s, one that began innocently enough but spiraled into a web of deception that lasted 3 decades. It started with a chance encounter in 1991, during a rare solo trip Nancy took to Santa Fe for a church retreat. Still grieving her husband, she met Victor Ramirez, a 45-year-old artist and gallery owner originally from Mexico City, who had settled in New Mexico after fleeing political unrest in the 1980s. Victor was everything Charles hadn't been: artistic, passionate, free-spirited. He painted vivid landscapes of the Southwest, ran a small gallery showcasing local talent, and lived a life unburdened by the rigid structures Nancy knew back home. They connected over shared stories of loss. Victor's wife, I've spent the last few days.
So what do you guys think of that one? So we got 11 minutes and then 15 for the last one. Megan talking about Savannah's mom.
$10,000 9 days after the meeting. Don't talk over me. As early as 2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as 2019.
Don't call me
whistleblowers came to, well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, we'll see what you can do about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, fireworks went off in the Senate today. Republican senators went off on the Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and it was absolutely glorious. Senator Josh Hawley was on fire, even going as far as to say Keith Ellison should be in jail, which he should be. Keith Ellison knew about the fraud that the Somalis were committing, and he actually got caught making a backroom quid pro quo deal with the Somalis, telling them if they just donate some of the stolen money to his campaign, they were going to have no problems. I'm going to show you the Josh Hawley grilling, but we need to get warmed up first. The short moment here between Ohio U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno and Keith Ellison was great.
Just a quick question. If you enter the country illegally or you overstay a visa, should you be deported?
My simple answer is, sir, it depends.
Okay. So if somebody breaks into your home, should they be arrested for breaking and entering, or does it depend?
It's an entirely different scenario.
How's that?
Because immigration is essentially a civil, and the breaking into my home is a criminal matter.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So if there's laws that should be enforced, so we shouldn't enforce civil violations?
We absolutely should enforce them.
But you just said that it's a civil matter, so it's different. So if somebody
you enforce civil matters.
So if somebody commits a civil infraction, it shouldn't be enforced?
It should be.
Okay, so they should be deported.
No, they should have due process that is associated with their petition. So
Okay,
for example,
so the act of entering the country illegally, you think we should say, well, did you really do it or not do it? It's pretty obvious that they did, right?
well, I mean, it would depend on the facts of the situation. And then
You know, it'd be one thing if this guy was some random lawyer at some random law firm in the country, but he's the attorney general of a state, and he's suggesting we should pick and choose which laws to enforce. Now, here's Operation Midday Hammer from Josh Hawley.
Mr. Ellison, let me start with you. You're the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Do I have that correct? That's a yes?
Sir, you're aware of my job. You know the answer to that.
You're not going to answer my questions? Are we going to start this way? Are you the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota? Yes or no?
You know the answer.
Mr. Ellison, you're in my courtroom now. You're under oath. So I suggest that you answer my questions. You the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Minnesota? Yes or no?
What a complete buffoon this guy is. I've been in the courtroom as part of a jury. I myself was curious why the lawyers were asking obvious questions. Is your name this? Do you reside here? Blah, blah, blah. Then it dawned on me it's simply to establish basic facts about a case. And you have a sassy, estrogen-filled attorney general who can't comprehend that concept or just wants to be difficult and have no decorum whatsoever.
Let's try another question. Are you familiar with the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone? You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021. And asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
Every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's
And
take a look.
obviously you didn't
You
listen
said,
to the
it's not
tape.
a question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating him. You said to him.
He pulled out his own quote, bringing out more receipts than Walmart's return center.
Send me their names, and I'll take that list, and I'll call the person over at Education who was investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then he went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who were investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help
I
them?
thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you
Are you
help
going to let
them?
me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's have it. Why did you help them? The quotes are here. They're in black and white, and every member of this audience can listen to the recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's all in public. You can Google it right now and listen to it.
And listen to it all.
Why'd you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help them.
No, I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for them. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you.
I have my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these people.
No, you didn't. You didn't lift a finger to prosecute them. No, you did not.
No, because it was a federal prosecution.
You had, BS. You had whistleblowers come to you as early as 2019.
You're the one talking BS.
Hey, listen, it's my time.
Doesn't know what you're talking about, sir.
No, sir. You now have encountered the truth and you don't like it. Why'd you take their money? Why'd you take their money?
I didn't.
You took $10,000.
No, that's a false statement.
$10,000 9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000. Here's what happened. They went to your office. They solicited money from you. They solicited help from you.
That's also wrong.
They came to your office. It was your official office. You met with them for 54 minutes.
Just to add this, that 10,000 only pertains to campaign donations. Keith Ellison and Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar and the other officials from that state definitely enjoyed millions from that fraud operation. Billions. They all have sweet retirement plans waiting for them.
You pledged it to them, and they talked repeatedly about money. In fact, it's all they talked about. Money, 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 money. They said, we will put our dollars in the right place. We will support candidates that will fight to protect our interests. You replied, that's right. They said, if you are securing your donor base and securing your power base, you can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript, the amount of money circulating in our community today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days later, you took $10,000 from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd you do it?
Sir,
was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
This is the truth. This is what accountability looks like, of which you've had none. You helped fraudsters defraud your state and this government of $9 billion, and you got a fat campaign contribution out of it. You ought to be indicted.
True. Well,
that's the truth.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the 10.
Well, just for the record,
I'll ask how I want.
He's lying, and that's
no. This is the right energy. We're talking about billions of dollars here. The federal tax money we paid got taken by Keith Ellison and the Somalis. This is how you're supposed to react when billions of dollars are stolen.
And that's the truth.
Oh no, this is all on the record,
sir.
Did you bother to investigate where the money that you facilitated their fraud for, where it went? Do you know where it went, what it was used for, the fraudulent money? I do, because we just heard testimony about it yesterday.
Because we were key players in the
hundreds of millions of dollars to terrorist groups, to transnational criminal organizations, to the drug trade, to drug trafficking, to child trafficking. And you took $10,000.
That's a lie.
And helped them do it. You know, the other thing is, whistleblowers came to you as early as 2019. Let's look. As early as 2019, whistleblower. Don't talk over me. As early as 2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as 2019,
don't call me
whistleblowers came to. Well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, we'll see what you can do.
In 2019, whistleblowers came to you in your office and referred to you fraud allegations from Feeding Our Futures, and you blew them off. Listen, your own state newspaper investigated it. The Minnesota Star Tribune, the Partners in Nutrition, brought its concerns to the Attorney General's office in 2018 and in 2019, and you did nothing. You did nothing for years. The only action you took is, once all these fraudsters came to your office and asked you to get involved and offered you money, then you got involved. Then you took the money, and then you got involved.
They did not come to my office. You're completely wrong about that.
You met with them for 54 minutes, and you took $10,000, and they also gave your family money. They gave your family thousands of dollars in campaign contributions in addition to what they gave
false
you.
Statement.
Let's put
this is completely untrue.
The New York Post.
Yeah, we know the New York Post.
Minnesota Keith Ellison, AG, accepted campaign donations from individuals linked to the $250 million COVID fraud scheme after they were in your office. The donations came on December 20th.
Sir,
you met with them on December the 11th, and on January 20th, the FBI knocked over their headquarters.
No.
That's the sequence of events here.
No, it's not.
You've
the
been
sequence
right
of
at the
events.
center of this fraud
It's not
thing
the
from the
sequence of
beginning,
events.
and
It's
you've
untrue.
enabled it. And sir,
The false
you
statement.
should resign.
And sir, you should resign. I was thinking the same thing about you.
Should resign.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was incredible. Josh Hawley brought
Wow.
the receipts, brought the smoke, brought the fire. And it's not just resign. These guys should be in jail. You already have criminal referrals on Tim Walz, but Keith Ellison is a lot more obvious. Keith Ellison got caught meeting with these guys saying, hey, look, if you're going to steal some money, slide me some, you know? Don't just send it to Mogadishu or Mogadouchebag, Somalia to build your real estate in your nice little mansions out there. Give me some, man, and then I'll cover for you. I'll let anyone investigating you know to back off. Now we need some action after that massive exposure. Thank you all very much for watching. God bless and goodbye.
Wow. So normally George plays a lot of long videos. He finally got a short video out tonight. So that was good. We got that. That was a good one. So the last one, update from Arizona.
Three's home. Can you just about that, and then we'll get into the search around the gloves.
Yeah, I had to drive over there and look at it just to see it with my own eyes. Look, it's the kind of thing that I would have expected to see to protect that scene like early on in the investigation. But they put it up, they went inside, and it looks like they were doing some technical video work, which I believe was designed to maybe get precise height measurements for the perpetrator that we see on the pictures and on the video. And then they took it down as soon as they left. So it went up, they did some work, technical work. Looks like they had some videography equipment as well. Maybe they're doing a crime scene recreation or a video of some type inside there. And then they took it down and they left. So yeah, that was just one of the very interesting and I would say maybe odd things, but I'm sure there's a good explanation for it once we learn what that is. But there are some other things that are going on that are, I think, a little bit peculiar.
Yeah, well, tell us what they are.
All right, so in the middle of the night, around 2:15 in the morning here in Tucson, the sheriff's forensic folks go out and they search this area just off the side of the roadway, very close to where I'm sitting right now, but also very close to Nancy Guthrie's home. Now, I went back out there today in the daylight, and I took my own video and I looked around and, I think that if you're looking for something, and by the way, this is not that far from where they found the gloves yesterday, but if you're looking for something, I would say go in the daylight, rather than go out with flashlights. But
right, so you're telling me they went at 2:15 a.m. to the spot searching?
Yeah, and so it's the kind of place where you would look if, like, you can pull out of Nancy's home, right, and you just head back towards Tucson, and that could be the way that you go. It's just one of the expected routes of egress from there, right? And so if you found gloves just down the road, it makes sense to search other areas on that road. So that much I get, but I just don't understand why they do it in the dark with flashlights, because I was able to go out there in the broad daylight and I could see very well. I mean,
Here's the map. We're
items of
showing
trash
it
and
on the
other
board
things.
for the viewing audience. You can see Nancy's home is labeled in red at the top of our little map, and then the early AM search happened in the middle there. And then down below the early AM search is where they found those gloves yesterday, which we haven't hit exactly, but people have likely heard about it. Last night, the New York Post happened to be with law enforcement when they found, now we're told it was a pair of black gloves. At first, the report was it's one glove, and now it's since been confirmed they found a pair. They're not describing them as identical to what they believe the perpetrator here was wearing, but they do look similar. But everyone's quick to point out, Phil, that it's the desert and you really can't function at all in the desert if you're doing any sort of pruning or gardening or cleanup even without gloves, or you're going to walk away pretty bloody. So we have no idea whether these gloves have any relation to the Nancy Guthrie case, but the cops have them and they're being analyzed now. Yes?
Yep, that's my understanding. I think there's a possibility they could be connected, and let me explain why. I've been able to develop a source or two of my own in the short time that I've been here, some people that I've talked to, and it is believed that the perpetrator had a phone in his pocket when you see him in those videos and in the photos at the doorway at the Nest camera. And so a cell phone, even if it's turned off, there's ways to track that. And so I believe that the searches that we've seen in the area of both Nancy's home yesterday and higher up in the foothills, all along this Campbell Road, which is where I was this morning, and even over by Annie Guthrie's house, I believe they are sort of following a perceived or believed route of travel following a device. And specifically, a neighbor over at Annie's neighborhood didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but told me that the FBI had been at her house and that one of the things they were looking for, among other things, was a cell phone. Okay. So I'm putting all this together, and there's obviously missing pieces, but what it's starting to paint the picture of, for me at least, is the law enforcement officers believe that they have a general route of travel, and they are searching more specifically now along where that phone might have traveled, either going to or from Nancy Guthrie's home.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There's a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years, and a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold can thrive during uncertainty, which is why it's a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider letting Birch Gold help you diversify with gold, so you too can have peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty. Text MK to 9898.
So tasty, it could make Poseidon switch to a spoon. Wholly divine taste from the Greek gods.
Without Headway, I can't imagine that I would ever be taking insurance.
If that's true, Phil, that's huge. I mean, if they actually have a cell phone now associated potentially with this crime, then we may be hours away from an arrest. Like that, how long would it take them to figure out who owns the cell phone?
Well, that's a good question that I'm not a cell phone expert. I can just tell you what the sources have told me, that's one thing the FBI was trying to find. And if it's a burner, it may take more time. But if it's actually registered to somebody, then yeah, they could very easily have a name. So the FBI just is holding these cards very close to the vest. But if there is a cell phone, and I believe there is, and I believe that's the source of a lot of these new searches. That's what's driving this. It's driving the location of where you see the FBI fanning out, searching all around, Annie's house a couple of days ago. And so you put all this together, and I believe that they are working off that sort of a presumption, and they're trying to track down where that phone came and went.
7 minutes
So you're
left.
saying your information is based on your sources that they have identified a cell phone that they think may be attached to this crime, and that they're figuring it out thanks to the cell towers, the possible route that this person took on the night in question, and going and search. And that's what's explaining these overnight searches, because this isn't the first overnight search we've had. We've had a couple of these.
A lot of big stuff moved.
Yeah, and you remember, the phones talk to towers, but they also talk to every Wi-Fi router. If you go down any neighborhood and you look on your phone and you see the list of available networks, you may not be joining those networks, but your phone is communicating with those routers. And so there is a digital footprint that is left behind by the phone everywhere it goes. They looked, I would say, around Annie's house. I would say that was probably maybe a half-mile radius, if I had to guess, based on what I saw. And I went to the house and I drove all around when the FBI was out there, and I was seeing these teams of agents, and there was some sheriff's deputies out there too, blocks and blocks away. So they were literally fanning out in a large area, which would be consistent with maybe a ping off of a cell phone tower that you can't triangulate it and get a more precise location.
Wow.
But, it seemed to be a pretty large area they were searching, including people's yards, the neighbors' yards. They were looking for any items of relevance. But
well, I mean, if that's what explains
they were looking for a phone.
The activity over at Annie and Tomas's house, then that's even more interesting. That a phone, if it's true, that a phone that police think may have been associated with this crime went back into the Annie and Tomas neighborhood. That's interesting as an investigative matter, and it's also explanatory of why they keep going back over there and canvassing neighbors and so on. And so you're saying you believe that too is based on your sourcing from one presumes people in a position to know on them having a possible phone lead.
Yeah, and look, the fact that you just have to look at the facts. I mean, the investigation is clearly focusing on two general places: the area around Nancy's home and the area around Annie's home. And so the fact that the investigation keeps taking officers to those places, it doesn't take a genius to understand that that's where they think they're going to find evidence. And so they're not there on accident. They weren't out here at 2:15 in the morning by accident either. They were looking for something specific because it wasn't a large search area. They literally went to like this one intersection right where I was, and you showed the video. It's not a big area, so they had a specific place that they were going to, and it was for some reason. We just don't know what it was. It wasn't an accident, though.
Betting on the right guy with Fanatic Sportsbook, explained by Kendall Jenner.
Haven't you heard? The internet.
And that's two times that they've done something in the middle of the night or in the cover of darkness that easily could have been done during the daytime hours, and we just don't know why. Why was this search done at 2:15 a.m.? Why did they go to Annie and Tomas's house at 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. when it was dark and not turn on the lights and take photographs inside? I mean, it's just all so bizarre to us. Okay, I want to ask you about now this alert that the sheriff just sent out saying he's asking for more video. He's asking for the locals, the residents in Nancy's neighborhood, to do what exactly, Fel?
So they're using people who have, I guess, the Ring system, and there's a way to send out alerts asking people for video at certain dates and certain times. And some of these go back into, as I understand it, January, and multiple times prior to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. So the question then obviously is, what's special about those dates? And they're not obviously telling us the reason they're focusing on those dates. But if I had to guess, I had to hypothesize, one hypothesis would be they might be checking to see who has delivered maybe an Amazon package to that area. That, it's not hard to go on somebody's Amazon history and see when they've had things delivered, right? And so they might be trying to identify individuals who were in that area, in that neighborhood, making some type of delivery. We've already seen one person who's a known delivery driver that was taken in for questioning and then released. Yeah.
Or Carlos. Well,
Yeah.
because there's two communications from the sheriff's office. One is actually from the sheriff's office, and one allegedly isn't. The one that just came out from the Pima County Sheriff says, we want everything for the last month, from January 1st to February 2nd. We want everything you have. Scour your Ring cameras and your Nest cameras and let us know if you see anything suspicious whatsoever, to all the people in the area. And that definitely came from the sheriff, and he just put it out. But then there was an earlier report that was circulated on the neighborhood Ring camera watch chat that you're referring to. And that refers to two separate dates on which the sheriff allegedly wants data. The sheriff's office is saying that's we didn't give that, though that Ring camera discussion, there's a screen grab of it that the neighbors posted, one of them online, and it does show a sheriff's seal and seems to come from the Pima County Sheriff, though the sheriff's office is officially denying that for some reason. It could just be that the sheriff went to, people from the deputies had gone to neighbors and said, we want footage from January 11th between 9 p.m. and midnight. Okay, that's weird, right? January 11th, as far as we know, has nothing to do with this crime, but they know more than we do. And then we also want January 31st, which is the Saturday that Nancy disappeared. It's the morning, the morning before she disappeared, from 9:30 in the morning to 11 a.m. So Nancy was alive and well then, saying, we believe there may have been a, quote, suspicious vehicle on Via Entrada around 10 a.m. Again, they style it in this separate Ring camera discussion group as, quote, new timeline for Nancy video requests. And they say it's from the sheriff. Again, the sheriff says that's not from him, but there's definitely an actual post suggesting that the locals believe they've been asked by the sheriff for those 2 dates in particular. And we know for a fact they've been asked for all 30 days prior to and around the actual disappearance. I mean, they're basically crowdsourcing the solution to this crime at this point, Phil.
Now, and it tracks with maybe a neighbor, and they've been talking to all the neighbors. It tracks with a neighbor saying to somebody, the sheriff or the FBI, saying that on January 31st, there was maybe some suspicious vehicle in the area. And so now that the sheriff has that information given by a neighbor, the sheriff's trying to identify that vehicle and determine if in fact it was suspicious or if they can rule it out. But it seems like they're following up on specific leads that they are given by the people that they are interviewing, which are the people in that area.
It's very smart because look at the cases that we know about. It's like Koberger cased that home repeatedly before he committed the crime in question. Yeah. And also after. We know he went back the morning that he committed the crime in Idaho. It was 4 a.m, between 4 and 4:20. And he was back there by 9:30 that next morning, 5 hours after he'd committed the murders, to look at it. Maybe he realized he left behind evidence. And so the sheriff's smart to include the 36 hours after this crime for suspicious vehicles. But the odds that this guy just did this cold and never once drove by the house are very small. So this makes sense to me.
Okay. That was a big update from Arizona. A lot of news today. Got a lot out today. So Lucy and Kay hopefully be resting better for tomorrow. And what do you know? There's KK. What do you think, Kay? Wild stuff tonight. So, Carol back in too. Had an appointment, finally showed up. So, Tim, Ryan, Hagel, and so Saturday's Valentine's Day, and my mom got married on Valentine's Day. So that was, I don't know, I lost track. I don't know how many years it would have been. But we'll probably do one tomorrow. Go probably do a late one tomorrow, 6 o'clock maybe. Get rested back up. But we'll play it by ear. If I find anything good. We're finding a lot of good stuff. Day by day, like Ryan Eagle said the other day, play it by ear. All right, everybody have a good night. And Friday. Bless everybody, love all. Remember, please hit the like and sub to the backup channels, please. And stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith. Never give up. And signing off for tonight. Chico News, another good intel day. See you all tomorrow.